Hello class and welcome to this Super Mario World walkthrough right here on Video Games 101 by way of Let's Play with Briggins. I'm your instructor, Professor Briggins, and Super Mario World is bar none one of the best 2D platformers of all time. And with that in mind, we've put together one of our best classes of all time. Blaze and Gary have the items and boss guides, respectively, and I said this in our class on Super Metroid that Fluff had a record number of facts about that game. Well, he's almost doubled that number today with a ton of interesting facts about Super Mario World, Yoshi, the Koopas, and more. But before we go any further, let's talk difficulty of this game. On the one hand, there's a lot of stretches of very tricky platforming in this game, particularly if you want to explore every stage like we're going to. On the other hand, lives are plentiful, as we'll show, and save opportunities come regularly. With all that in mind, I'm going to give Super Mario World the just right difficulty of a 5 out of 10. On the frustration scale, this equates to throwing your controller across the room, probably on some of those later stages, but don't worry, we've got all the tips to get you through this game, the 100% completion, as it were, for this game. But before we get into the walkthrough, I mentioned this is going to be one of our best classes yet, and that just wouldn't be the case without a great guest. And since Mario won't take our calls anymore after our class on Super Mario Bros. 3, we've lined up another special guest for such a seminal game, Mario's co-star here in Super Mario World, T. Yoshisaur Munchakoopas. Although you might know him by another name. It's Yoshi, everybody. Thanks for being here, Yoshi. So I just mentioned it, but what do you prefer to go by? T. Yoshisaur Munchakoopas or Yoshi?
Yoshi!
I figured. So this is your second appearance on Video Games 101 after you stopped by for our class on Yoshi's Cookie for the NES. By the way, I again apologize on Fluff's behalf for his mistranslation back then. That cat's got a vendetta against Mario, and that was the wrong place to... Well, suffice to say, it was very unprofessional, so I'm sorry again, but incidentally, I've brushed up on my Yoshi a bit since then, so maybe you could tell us what it was like working on this, your debut both on the SNES or otherwise.
Yoshi! Yoshi!
He said it was fun, everybody. Well, Yoshi, this is a bit of a long game, so we're going to get into the Super Mario World walkthrough now, if you don't mind. So, thank you so much for being here. Oh, what's that? You want to sing us a little song?
Yoshi!
Okay, yeah, please. That'd be great. Hey, that was part of the Video Games 101 intro. That was really great. Thank you, Yoshi. Well, we're not going to top that, so yeah, let's run that intro and get into the Super Mario World walkthrough right here on Video Games 101. Alright, let's begin a new game here in Super Mario World. Again, big thanks to Yoshi for joining us for that intro. That was a big surprise, that song he pulled out there. That was great, so thank you again to him as we get some context. Once again, updating the trope list as our ultimate goal is to rescue Princess Toadstool. Seriously, we gotta lock her up, or not in like a weird way, but just... I feel like it happens a lot as we take a look at the controls for Super Mario World. You can see Y and B are the main buttons of concern, allowing us to run and jump respectively, and a lot of other commands tied to those. But yeah, it's all right there for the most part. You can do spin jumps with A, and X is doing the same controls as Y. As we take a look now at the Briggs notes for this Super Mario World walkthrough here on Video Games 101. Speaking of Y, make sure you're always holding that down so that you're always running ABR, the first Briggs note, as you have a lot more control over Mario. He's a lot more responsive when you're holding down that run button. Always have a cape feather, that's number 2, plus a backup in that item slot at the top. And then follow this guide for all the secrets. Again, we are going to be covering the 100% completion for this game, which essentially means getting every single exit in this game, every level. And as we spin jump and duck down into this pipe, let's get an overview of some of the early items with Blaze. Alright, let's talk the basic power-ups you'll find in Super Mario World. Everyone knows this one. The Super Mushroom makes Small Mario Big Mario. You can get big and take that hit without dying when you have this. Secondly, the Fire Flower allows you to shoot fireballs, killing a lot of enemies you wouldn't normally be able to take down or even jump on the heads of. Next, probably my item of the game, even though it's just a basic item, the Cape Feather. You can fly with this, you can twirl to hit certain enemies. I love the ability to float down when you're holding that jump button with this Cape Feather when you have it. Always good to have one of these, hence the Briggs notes mentioning it. And then the Superstar grants you 16 seconds of invincibility. Thank you, Blaze. At the end of every stage, you'll find a giant gate. The higher up you hit the tape, the more stars you'll earn. You can actually earn 50 and 3 extra lives if you hit it at the very top. It's very difficult, but once you get 100 red stars, you'll get to play a mini game, which we'll cover a little bit later. I want to mention on that first stage, if you have a Cape Feather and you fly above the checkpoint, you'll find some clouds where you can grab yourself a moon, which, not to step on Blaze's toes, but earns you 3 extra lives, so just wanted to mention that. And we're going to go into the first of the switch palaces here. Hit that P switch and just clean up. Fluff's going to talk about this a little bit later, but once you get Yoshi, there's a trick where you can reuse P switches, and then in this room, that would be the way to get every single one of the coins, but he'll talk about that in a bit. But then move on through the pipe into this next room, hit the giant yellow switch, and now all of the blank traced out yellow switches are filled in with actual yellow switches. This will be useful as we progress through the game to give us both platforms to stand on, as Mario just kind of tosses them out indiscriminately. Maybe the palace sends them out, but go ahead and save your progress there. Sometimes it'll also be power-ups we can hit and, get mushrooms and whatnot. Early in the stage, you can pick up a shell if you hold Y and you don't melt it. Hit 8 enemies in a row with it, you get yourself an extra life. And hit this block right here, and here's Yoshi. Kidnapped on stage 2. It's the effort that counts, right? And plenty of things Yoshi can eat on this stage. Blaze? Alright, let's talk the berries, and then we tagged on the wings as well. More things for Yoshi here. The red berry, eat 10 of these to get a super mushroom. 2 pink berries earns you a coin cloud, or creates a coin cloud. If you get all 10 coins, the cloud leaves. This will get you a 1-up mushroom. Then we have the green berry, only available in one particular level, the last level actually, the last special hidden level, Funky. Adds 20 seconds onto your timer. And then the wings allows Yoshi to fly and turns him into a blue Yoshi when it is finished. Thank you, Blaze. Also takes you to a special coin heaven area and clears the level for you. It's fun riding the Yoshi. Just tap that Y button to eat a number of enemies in this game. Can't eat all the enemies. There's our mushroom for eating 10 of those red berries. Duck into this right here, and you can see if you jump off of Yoshi by hitting that A button, and like to jump at the very peak too, kind of dismount as we're in the air with the jump right there. You can grab a 1-up from that one particular block. The rest are all just coins, so I'm gonna leave those. Hit this P switch to get a little ramp, and again, the best we can get is a 50 if we hit it at the very top. And at the very, very top, we'll get a 3 1-up bonus right there. But yeah, forgive me if I ever say anything but 50 being the max, and that 3 1-up bonus as well. But there you go. Plenty of opportunities to earn extra lives in this game. And mention Yoshi can eat a lot of things. He can eat shells, and different shells have different effects on Yoshi. Blaze? Alright, let's talk the different colored shells and their effects on Yoshi when he swallows them, or has one in his mouth, better said. He will swallow them eventually, so it's important to look for that swallowing animation from Yoshi in case you're relying on the ability you're getting from that particular shell in that moment. So first, the green shell, just have this in the mouth, spit it out as a projectile. Nothing fancy. The red shell allows you to shoot out fireballs that one time. The blue shell Very, very useful one. Probably the best shell for Yoshi. This allows you to fly while it's in his mouth. Just again, when he's starting to do that swallow animation, just know that you're about to go down very quickly to the bottom of the screen. So make sure you have some solid ground beneath you when he's got that blue shell. You can always spit it out and then pick it back up again if you have a wall. And lastly, the yellow shell allows you to stomp and kill nearby enemies when you touch down on the ground. Thank you, Blaze. I want to mention that green block with the star on it. If we had collected 30 coins before getting to that, we would have gotten a 1-up out of that. But there's a hidden 1-up early on here in Yoshi's Island 4. Jump off of that block and dismount off of Yoshi to get up here, run to the left, and then back to the right. And you'll trigger a mushroom, and there it drops. You gotta be quick, otherwise it'll drop into the water, but there it is. So we duck down into this pipe right here, and we run into our first Pokey. If you have a Yoshi and you get right up in front of the Pokey when you eat, you can see you can get multiple segments at once. You can even eat the entire thing, but you have to get very dangerously close. See if we can do it here. We'll jump, and there we go. Yeah, something about the physics just kind of glitches out, so we get all the segments at once. Heck of a digestive system that dinosaur has. There's a star in this block right here, so hit it and run through as many enemies as possible. Remember, on the 8th one, we'll get a 1-up, and then additional 1-ups after that. There we go. Get one more before it expires. There we go. And this will just tell us about the gates, but yeah, remember 50 is the max, despite what I might accidentally say sometimes. And if you really hit that tippy top, you get that 3 1-up bonus. We've got enough for our first mini game, now that we've hit that 100 gold/red star mark. And the best way to do this is just get into a rhythm, I've found. Kind of hit it on the back side. Once you have the one that you want, you can see you can generally get the one that you want. In this case, stars. We'll get an extra life for every successful 3 in a row that we get, with a max opportunity of 8 as we're getting right here. As we're collecting, let's get our first fluff fact about Super Mario World with Fluff.
Super Mario World, also known as Super Mario World Super Mario Bros. 4 in Japan, is a 1990 platformer from Nintendo. As with virtually every Japanese Super Mario entry to that point, Super Mario series creator Shigeru Miyamoto and longtime collaborator and co-designer Takashi Tezuka oversaw the development of the first Super Mario title for the then brand new Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Designed to make the most of the Super Nintendo's capabilities and superior features over the Nintendo Entertainment System, this game feels very much like an expanded version of the NES's Super Mario Bros. 3, which is a pretty good premise for a game if you ask me. In addition to introducing a number of new items, enemies, and moves to the franchise, Super Mario World marked the debut of Mario's dino sidekick Yoshi. Super Mario World was a huge commercial success upon its release, selling over 20 million copies, which makes it by far the best-selling game on the SNES, though it should be mentioned that it was sold bundled with the SNES console for part of its lifetime, and that it was one of only 2 launch titles upon the Super Famicom's release in Japan with F-Zero. Super Mario World debuted to universal critical acclaim upon its release, with critics praising virtually every aspect of the game, and today it's considered to be one of the greatest video games of all time. When it comes to 2D platforming, it's hard to do much better than this game, Professor.
Completely agree. Thank you very much, Fluff. Mind the giant mallets, they will do damage to you. I mean, obviously, it's not going to feel good. Not too difficult, just follow along. You can see in that last stretch, as long as we stayed on the fence without touching the ground, with every consecutive kill we got more points, and then starting on the 8th, we would get an extra life for each one, so easy opportunity to bank a lot of lives right there. And we're coming up on our first boss, so let's throw it to Gary for the first time today.
It's Scary Gary's Boss Beaters.
Alright, Iggy Koopa, the first of the Koopa kids. Not difficult in the least. Jump over his fireballs, and you can usually get 2, 3, or even 4 hits in before he gets another shot off. You want to jump on his head or shoot fire at him to send him flying back on the side of the seesaw that's lower. Be patient, don't rush it. If he's on the higher side of the seesaw, you just gotta wait till it goes back down again so you can knock him in the lava. You'll take him down.
Thank you, Gary. And now with some context On Iggy's name, here's Fluff.
Almost every single one of the Koopa Kids in the Western version of the Mario games is named after a pop culture or historically famous figure, beginning with Iggy Koopa, who is named after the famous musician Iggy Pop. Often referred to as the godfather of punk, Iggy Pop was the vocalist for the seminal proto-punk band The Stooges. Iggy Koopa is actually the first of more than half of the Koopa Kids who are named after musicians, and typically rock-leaning musicians at that.
Thank you, Fluff. We're going to bring him back in a little bit later to cover where those names came from, a bit more and large, but jump on the backs of these Super Koopas that have their red and yellow alternating capes to make a cape feather appear. Let's bank an extra one here for our, well, don't make the mistake of doing a cape twirl like I just did, but we have our first of another type of minigame coming up in this pipe now, so let's get a little hack for it with Fluff.
If you want to completely suck the sense of chance, not to mention fun, out of this minigame for the sake of 5 extra lives, use a cape spin with a shallow jump on the left-hand side of each box as you work left to right to guarantee they always come up as a green circle. While I personally have no problems cheating at this minigame, there are far better, by which I mean far faster ways to earn 1-ups, as we'll cover moving forward.
Yes, there certainly are, and yes, we certainly will, thank you, Fluff. You can see it's pretty reliable, and then the second you try going away from that, doesn't work on the right side, doesn't work at the top, so let's duck down in this pipe now. And this is a good chance to get some experience with the cape feather, so holding Y to run at full speed, and then jumping, holding that B button, launches you into the air when you're at full speed for flight, and then just tap left on the D-pad when you start to come back down, when you dip, to get that pull back up again and just get into a nice rhythm. But yeah, nice little stretch where you can grab some coins and figure out the mechanic right there. But going back to that Briggs note, having the cape feather and the backup, this game's just so much easier when you can float down just by holding that B button, holding Y and B so you can quickly float left and right and staggering that drop speed. As you can see, we have a hidden vine right there in that block. Grab a dragon coin. We'll have Blaze come back in and talk about some of the other items in a little bit, but you can use the cape spin on those charging chucks. You can use Yoshi to swallow up the volcano lotus plants there. Guess those were pitching chucks, technically. Get a 1-up from those dragon coins. We don't have the block for the green switch yet, so the green blocks have not been revealed. We can still get to that, though. This is the first stage in this game which has 2 exits. Let's try to get the 40 right here, headed at the top. There we go. Yeah, the 2 different exits. A lot of stages, you'll see if they are marked with a red dot instead of a gold dot on the map, like this first Donut Plains stage was right here, and this next one in Donut Plains 2. If it's red, that indicates that there is a secret exit. So, in the interest of revealing every single exit in this game, or hitting every single exit, which is part of that completion for this game, we're going to re-enter this stage, and once you've already played through it, do one of my favorite things in this game, which is just flying over entire levels, beating them within seconds just by using the cape feather and maintaining a nice rhythm right here, flying above all the obstacles. And here is our first secret exit here in Super Mario World. Put that key in the hole, and we have our first water level here. And a tip for the water levels, here's Fluff.
Here's a simple tip to make the swimming levels a whole lot more manageable, Professor. Hold down while swimming to minimize your propulsion up, which allows you to keep a steady line, making it ideal for swimming just above the bottom of the screen, or threading through tight windows where you have enemies simultaneously above and below you.
Thank you, Fluff, and duck in here for an unaccountably dry section of this stage. And we're going to float to the left to grab ourselves some 1-ups, and while we're doing this, more items with Blaze. Alright, let's talk some more items you can find and pick up with different purposes here in Super Mario World. First, coins, pretty universal. 100 earns you an extra life. Dragon coins, each one of these counts as a coin, but also if you get all 5 of these, you get a 1-up. Some stages have more than 5, so you can potentially get more lives out of that, so keep that in mind. The key, certain stages have more than 1 exit. If you can find the key,
put this in the keyhole to get the hidden exit and access other levels you wouldn't otherwise be able to access. And then the P balloon allows you to float for roughly 16 seconds, very slowly, but a few levels make use of this item, but there you go. Few more items here in Super Mario World.
Thank you, Blaze. Yeah, as we're floating down here with our cape feather, just kind of transitioning left to right, you can see we can stock up some extra lives right here. As long as we don't touch the ground, as I said, we always get an extra life. But here we are, we're only, 8 levels or so into this game, and we already have 49 lives. Not too shabby. Mind the Rip Van Fish, you get a little too close, he wakes up and will chase you, as long as you're within range. But yeah, that tip Fluff gave us earlier about holding down on the D-pad whenever you hit that B button to swim really is useful for kind of managing how high you go, just keeping that very low and much more manageable so you can keep that straight line for the most part. But yeah, hit that P switch where you can take it with you, but if you hit it, you generally have enough time to swim over here and get to this area before it runs out to get through those keys, which would otherwise be blocks, but pick up that key and unlock the secret exit for that stage. Again, we're going to be showing you every single exit, both hidden and regular, for that 100% completion. So while we're doing this, I alluded to this earlier, so with more information on where the names for the different Koopa Kids came from, here's Fluff.
I explained the origin of the Koopa Kids' namesake so far, but I think it would help moving forward if I gave some context as to where the names actually came from. Former Nintendo employee Dave Brooks initially got a job at Nintendo of America in the late 80s after calling Nintendo's famous premium tip line of the day to himself get help with a game. Thinking after he got off the phone, man, that must be a cool job. He subsequently saw an ad to become a Nintendo gameplay counselor and got hired after a pretty basic interview in which he essentially promised that he had beaten some of Nintendo's most popular games of the time to suggest he had some level of skill. He soon parlayed that gig into a role as a product analyst at Nintendo, where one of his earliest responsibilities was to take the poorly translated Japanese text from Super Mario Bros. 3 and make it better for the English release. Note that this was in the days before dedicated localization departments were really a thing, which I think we can all believe given some of the truly awful and oftentimes hilarious translations we've seen in many of the games we've covered here on Video Games 101. Anyway, part of that job was to come up with the English names for the Koopa Kids, so Brooks assigned the names based on the vibes he got from their appearances. Being a big fan of music between DJing and collecting records, even working at a Tower Records before coming to Nintendo, Brooks named most of them after musicians. Brooks left Nintendo in 1992, but more recently has worked in internet marketing for Bass Pro Shops. But his short time in Nintendo left an indelible mark on the Super Mario franchise.
Thank you very much, Fluff. Yeah, that was actually one of the more interesting facts as far as I was concerned for this class, just because, I assumed there was this whole Nintendo brain trust as we continue on here into the Donut Secret House. There's a couple different exits for this one as well, we'll show you, but yeah, I assumed there were multiple Nintendo employees all getting together, debating this, coming up with, the best names and everything, and it was a much larger affair than it was. But no, it's just a guy who initially signed on with Nintendo as basically like a gameplay counselor, sort of an early version of what we're doing here on Video Games 101, and got promoted. Hit that P switch right there after you take out some of these coins to get the conventional exit right here. Even though it seems hidden, this is not the actual hidden exit, but still needed to do it regardless. Another mini game here, but yeah, just one guy got promoted, and amongst whatever other work they dumped on his desk, they just said, "Hey Dave, we want you to come up with names for all of the Koopa Kids, all these bosses in Super Mario Bros. 3. Just said, Iggy Pop, sure, go ahead, Iggy, that's a cool name. And it is a cool name. Under the Umbrella Tree fans, anyone? I don't know if anyone remembers that show. But I digress. Let's head back into the Donut Secret House. By the way, Dave Brooks spells his name very unconventionally. D-A-Y-V-V, so probably better said Dave V. Brooks. It's probably what he's going for, but just want to point out, before we get any letters, we're going to be pronouncing it Dave Brooks throughout the course of this class. for any subsequent mentions, but just know that we know. It's probably Dave E. Brooks, but let's just mention that. So the secret exit for the donut secret house here, we actually need to hit the P switch all the way out on the left side of the stage. And if you go through the door, you don't have to worry about the coins this time, right there on the conventional exit. But hit this P switch. If you go through that left door, it just loops. And actually, if you go through this door, which is not where we want to go ultimately, you get into this other area where you can hit that and control the movement of the coins. But we don't care about that. So head back through this door, and you can see this is how you get to that under area, and grab that one up in case you were curious. But yeah, this loops back into this room. So the actual way to go here to get to the proper secret exit, which will actually require us fighting another boss. So we need that platform again via that P switch. We need to be quite quick here. If you want to bring it over to the right before you hit it, give yourself a little extra time. But basically we want to hit this block for a vine to climb, and then before the P switch and this door disappears, pop in here and Big Boo. Gary?
Boss beaters.
All right, the Big Boo. Pretty straightforward. Grab one of the blocks on the ground. Be careful you don't grab too many so you fall to your death, but grab one. But you want to stay on the side, facing to the middle so that the smaller boos don't come after you. And then only move and go after Big Boo when he materializes, and you can launch that up. But 3 blocks takes him down. Good luck.
Yeah, you want to be efficient enough with those blue blocks that you're not pulling so many away from the floor that you start creating gaps for yourself. You don't want to get to the point where you're having to pull from that bottom section of the floor, as sometimes you can accidentally pick up the one that you're standing on and then just drop down to your death. So if you pop through here, we have Donut Secret 2, so we're just going to knock this out before we continue on with the remainder of Donut Plains. So in this stage, we have one of the few instances in this game where we can get consecutive superstars if we're fast enough. So to do this, hit this spring and climb the vine, and there's a superstar in this block. As soon as we grab it, we want to run to the right as quickly as possible, avoiding walls and anything which might slow us down. You can grab the dragon coins if you're precise, if you follow this exact track right here. Careful with your jumps right here. And then if you get to it in time, you just have to still have the star when you hit this block to make this one appear. You don't have to still have it when you grab it. But depending on how many enemies you hit while you have that superstar over the course of that kind of consecutive kill count that it creates, you can get at least 10 extra lives, if not more right there. So 68 lives for our current game overall, looking pretty good. And we're going to go back here, but just to show you where this leads. The Donut Secret 2, this leads you to Donut Plains, a bit of a shortcut. Donut Plains 3, but again, we're going to try to go in order. So we're going to backtrack all the way back, seems like a lifetime ago now, to Donut Plains 2, which, as you can see from the red dot, signifies that there are 2 different exits on this stage, the normal and the hidden. And because we activated that yellow switch, pals, we can get this mushroom here. Not that we necessarily want it. In fact, I think it's going to be difficult to avoid as the ceiling gets a little tight right there. That's all right. And the fire flowers in this game, similar, I would say, to Mario 3, are overrated. Can't think of too many instances where a fire flower really helps you out in this game. It's just like in Super Mario 3, definitely playing second fiddle to the... Well, in that game it was the super leaf, but here, the cape feather. Much, much more useful. Don't have to worry about being crushed into the ceiling really anywhere here, just sometimes they try to squeeze you in these tight quarters so that the little bats can get a hit in on you. To get the secret exit, we're going to go through this pipe. And you don't need any special items for this. You just need to do a spin jump right through this. Be very careful not to hit the shell in here, but once you have it, jump and launch it up by holding up when you let go of that Y button right there. Kind of kick it up into the air and climb the vine, and there's your secret exit for Donut Plains 2. And this is how we access the Green Switch Palace. So before we beat Donut Plains 2 the conventional way, let's pop in here. If you do this just right... Nah, well, he's not supposed to grab it. We still kind of keep up and get an extra life out of that. There we go. Could have gotten a couple extra ones had that Koopa not picked up that shell, but that's alright. We're not really hurting for lives as we've reached 69. We do max out at 99, so 30 to go in that regard, but we hit the green switch block now, so all the green traced blocks, which didn't exist before, are now populating across Dinosaur Land. And as we head back to Donut Plains 2 to beat it the conventional way, let's get those last items with Blaze. Alright, the last few items to cover here in Super Mario World, we have two different P-switches. The conventional blue, which turns objects into coins, and vice versa. The gray P-switch, which turns enemies into gray coins. Get 7 of these, you get a 1-up. 8, you get another one. 9, and so on. And then we have the 1-up mushroom, and then the very rare, I love it just for this game, the 3-up moon introduced for this one. Look out for that. Lives won't be a problem in this game if you follow this guide, but there you go. The items, the final items here in Super Mario World. Good call, Blaze. Yeah, we're not hurting for lives in the least. Only problem with these auto-scrolling stages is we now have this green block right here, so we get ourselves an extra cape feather if we didn't have one. Yeah, they move awful slow. I don't like when we have to replay a level, but we're not in charge of the speed of pacing the stage, but that's alright. There's worse problems in the world. Suffice to say. Yeah, so this time we're just gonna carry on. And there's a little stretch here where the ceiling's gonna come down. There's a cape feather in here if you already have one. It's not gonna crush us, the ceiling here, but it will make the ceiling a little bit lower, so... just makes it a little more difficult to avoid the buzzy beetles who are walking about there. Hang back here. The screen will slow down so much so that you can't progress this. You'll get crushed if you are on that yellow platform right there, so... give it some time. Makes you wonder who's in charge of the whole screen scrolling speed and everything. Doesn't even come up all the way that time. Finally, exit right here. If you hadn't gone through the secret exit, you'd taken the pipe back in that secret exit area, then that would have spat you out right there, but there you go. Come out the other side. Onto a stage where we have control over the pacing again, thankfully. A ghost house, actually. Make sure you have a cape feather before you head into this stage. We'll need it to access a very important secret exit. So we're going to go to the right here to kind of reset the ghost to the left, and then run back to the left and fly all the way to the left side of the screen to avoid getting hit. Might have to try this a few times, but once you're up here, just run all the way to the right. And then drop down. Trying again not to take damage here. You got some extra lives. They look like ghost mushrooms, but they work just as well. Because you can only have 3 on the screen at once right there. But this is the secret exit. And arguably the most important in the game, because this allows access to the top secret area where we can top off our cape feathers. We can get fire flowers if we want them, and we can get Yoshi on demand now, so this always resets when we come here. And speaking of Yoshi, Fluff has a little hack we can use when we have him.
Now that we've got a Yoshi, there's a little hack to recycle and get multiple uses out of your P-switches. The next time you see a P-switch while riding a Yoshi, jump on it, then quickly turn and eat it while it's flattened before it disappears. When you spit it out again, the P-switch will be restored to its unused state so that you can hop on it again to repeat the process.
Yeah, it's a very tight window, but if you can pull it off, extra coins, yeah, just recycled P-switches right there, very nice. So anyway, going back through the Donut Ghost House again, there's a P-switch right there, speaking of P-switches. Yoshi's too afraid to come into the ghost houses, by the way, and the mansions, or maybe just can't fit through the door, whatever the explanation is. Nothing to be found in that room except for some coins, but this will spit you into a variation on the room we were just in. We can fly up here now, go to this platform and through the door for the conventional exit for the Donut Ghost House. Another chance at some one-ups. Don't really care at this point. As I said, we've got some fantastic hacks coming up for grabbing even more extra lives, so why spoil it here in these mini-games? I'd skip them if I could. As we move on now to Donut Plains 3, I always get prompted to save after a fortress level or a ghost house, or a switch palace as well. Anytime you have a level where you have platforms, you have lots of pits, like this stage right here, this is where the Cape Feather really pays off. If we drop down there, we can hit that switch from below, that block, make a vine appear, and we can get a dragon coin up here in the clouds. If we hit this information block right here, you'll see that it's reminding us, as we covered in the controls, if you hold L and R, you can kind of get more of the screen to the right or left, whichever you prefer. I don't know why you would... You're generally moving left to right. I don't know why you would want less screen showing to the right, but hit these switches as shown to complete the loop and make sure that they don't lead to nowhere. There's another Cape Feather right there. Yeah, not a bad idea to give yourself a little more camera, I suppose. I don't know how you want to call that. A little more view to the right rather than to the left or center of the screen so you can kind of see what's coming. And again, if we got 30 coins from that block, we can earn ourselves a 1-up. Didn't even hit it that time. Maybe that's what I should start doing just to avoid the stars altogether. It's just not a good feeling when you don't get anything from that, you know? Even though it's gonna needlessly pad the Super Mario World walkthrough. Probably an extra minute and a half when all is said and done. Good idea to stop in here, top off your feathers at this point. Get yourself a Yoshi if you do not already have one. Again, the 2 blocks to the left are your fire flowers. If you come in with nothing, you might want to hit those first to get yourself a mushroom so that feathers will appear on those right 2 blocks. We're going to let that Koopa go into the shell so that it starts changing colors. One of the rare instances in this game of a color-changing shell, which gives us all of the abilities which Blaze covered earlier. So we have flames if we spit it out, we're stomping like a yellow shell, and we can fly as well. You can see as Yoshi swallows it right there. So you get roughly 18 seconds with that shell in Yoshi's mouth before he just kind of gags and just swallows the shell up outright. There's another hidden 1-up right here. You have to go around this block counterclockwise. We might have to be off of Yoshi to actually do it. So from the bottom, just kind of go around that way, and there you go. Just one of countless hidden little gems in this game, in this gem. Still want to show you where all the dragon coins are. Generally speaking, for most levels. Same in here. Drop into this pipe just so you can grab this dragon coin. And I suppose if you make good use of your Cape Feather without being on Yoshi to just stomp everything to death, then you could probably get some 1-ups from those red-shelled Koopa Troopas. I just like to burn them all up with Yoshi's ability right there when you have one in your mouth, but this is constantly changing even after you knock it out of the block, just so you know. So you can hit it as it's the feather to turn it into a star. We're going to fly right here, and you'll see right up here on this cloud, you got a 3-up moon, one of the rare ones in this game. Also note that if you hit one of the, what would be a Yoshi egg when you already have a Yoshi, it just turns into a 1-up. Sorry, Yoshi. There'll be others. Hope that doesn't make me sound callous, class, but nice to not have to worry about any hidden exits there. You just have fun, blast right through it. If you just want to fly across the entire level, that's your prerogative. While you're flying, you can stop off and grab that 3 1-up moon. Speaking of flying, if you do it right from the start, if you have a cape feather, you can pop in there to do one of those matching bonus games, which Fluff gave you the hack for earlier, but we're going to skip that. Not like we're hurting on the lives right now at 85. Lots of thwomps and thwimps to maneuver here. Again, everything made easier with the cape feather. The dry bones just patrolling right there. No problem for us. We have one of the rare instances of a vertical scroll right here. Super Mario Bros. 2 style. At least the international version, the Doki Doki Panic, which we also did a class on here on Video Games 101. Careful not to get crushed by the blocks there as you're trying to grab, or the wall while you're trying to grab that block. Or right there, almost lost our first life actually. Should take my own advice. You can use the spring right here to grab some coins on the right side. But, yeah, there's no extra lives or anything there, so we're just going to keep going on to the left. You know, we'd show you if there were an extra life. Not right there. There is one coming up, however. Hit that second from the right block right there from below. And you'll see a one-off dry bones kind of patrolling this area. Grab yourself a hidden extra life with that hidden block right there and just keep climbing here. There's another hidden one-up over here on the in the right corner. You kind of jump, there it is. Just like that. Sort of like that. And still climbing, still climbing. Got some spikes here. Thankfully that doesn't count as a crush when you just stand upright in that spot. And if you hit that green switch block earlier, then you have that tiny little platform there, but that wasn't good. That wasn't good either. And you know what? It's just a testament to how much faith we have in our resident boss expert, Gary. There's actually power up here. I'm going to skip it as a sign of respect for our resident boss expert, Gary.
Boss beaters.
All right, Morton Koopa Jr. You want to jump on his head at the start of the battle, then retreat, go to the right side of the screen. He'll climb the wall on the left, and then when he's about in the middle, you want to run underneath him so he drops in the middle. Quickly repeat it by jumping on his head again. Repeat this one more time, you'll take him down.
Thank you, Gary, and just like to build the drama here on Video Games 101. And there we go. And Morton Koopa Jr.? How about that name, Fluff?
Remember when I said more than half the kids were named after musicians earlier? Well, Morton Koopa Jr. is one of 2 exceptions, as he's named after American tabloid talk show presenter Morton Downey Jr. And before you look it up, class, nope, Morton Downey bears no relation to Robert Downey Jr. Morton Downey Jr. is often credited as pioneering the trash TV format via his short-lived late 80s television program, The Morton Downey Jr. Show. Dave Brooks said he named this Koopa Kid as such because he looked like a loudmouth and thus reminded him of Morton Downey Jr. For what it's worth, Morton Koopa Jr. was often referred to as Big Mouth for how often he'd run his mouth until one of his siblings would shut him up in the Super Mario World cartoon, which had a short 13-episode run soon after the game's release.
Good call, Fluff. Anyone remember that show, by the way? The Super Mario World cartoon show, not to be confused with the Super Mario Bros. 3 cartoon show, which came out a year or so earlier. Each game had their own dedicated cartoon, but yeah, leave a comment if you remember that one in particular. As we top off our supplies for this next stretch, Yoshi and Cape Feathers. Moving on. Alright, here we are in the Vanilla Dome area now. 1/4 of the way through this game. Good idea to stop off like we did just before coming here and making sure we are maxed out on all the goodies at that top secret area back in Donut Plains. But yeah, grab this blue shell right off the bat with Yoshi. Swallow up that key and get yourself a very easy secret exit here in Vanilla Dome 1. And as we go for the conventional exit now for Vanilla Dome 1, let's bring in Fluff for another Fluff fact about Yoshi here in Super Mario World.
We've mentioned this before in classes on Super Mario Bros., but the idea of Mario riding a dinosaur goes back to the mid-80s. There's concept art of this drawn by Shigeru Miyamoto in 1985, but due to the limitations of the NES, Yoshi didn't debut until Mario's debut on the SNES. At one point, they changed the concept to Mario riding a horse instead, but decided it didn't fit the setting of the dinosaur world, so they kept the idea in their back pocket. They almost implemented that idea into Super Mario 64 before they saved it for Ocarina of Time in the form of Link's trusted steed, Epona.
Yep, they needed those extra 8 bits to handle T. Yoshisaur Munchakoopas, it turned out. Here, grab yourself the star and run as quickly as possible. Kinda lost a little time there, but yeah, if you're running the whole time with that star, you should be able to make that without issue, but it's a little tight. Just make sure you don't take your foot off the gas pedal there. If you want to take the top route to get the Dragon Coin, gotta knock it out with a Buzzy Beetle. Helps to be small, obviously. Tight space, but there's no incentive besides personal pride for getting all of the Dragon Coins in this game. There's no percentage or anything that's shown. There's another one right there, which is why we're not going out of our way to collect them. We're just, most of the time, showing you where they are. But for the most part, yeah, the only thing we really care about is getting all of those secret exits, which we talked about. That's the one that actually shows up at the end, so. And there was that last coin. Take that blue shell to the end with you, and you can turn that into a 1-up right there. So we are 10 away from the max right now. So the map kind of splits a little bit here. You can go to the right and go to the castle. We're going to come back here a little bit later. Right now we're going to work our way up to Vanilla Secret 1 and outside this way. We'll cover all the levels, but yeah, just to knock out all the vanilla named levels all before we get to that castle at the end here. So maybe a little bit out of order, but just wanted to mention that. This is another vertical scrolling level, another one of the few. There is a secret exit to be found. Having a cape feather here definitely helps for getting around, as you will see. See, there's dragon coins kind of spread all over this area. Nothing too hidden for the most part. If you want to drop down to the left, there's one at the bottom of the leftmost area. A dragon coin, but for the secret exit, we're going to use our cape feather right on this little platform right here. We have just enough runway to get up to a running start, and then fly to the top left, and right there. This takes us to a little mini area where we have a football chuck kicking the ball about. Not much of a defense system, not much of a deterrent. Just go to the giant gate right there for the secret exit. And this takes us to Star Road, which, again, we're going to put off until the end of the game. Do that right before we take on Bowser, knock out all the regular levels before we get to the hidden stuff here in Super Mario World. We'll be showing you everything, though, don't worry. Those are some of the most fun levels, actually. The Star Road and beyond, actually. A little sloppy. That's alright. That's why we always have a backup right there. Or generally have a backup. So here we just need to thread this needle right there. Tight little window, but you can make it work. And just continue climbing. There's the remaining 2 dragon coins on that side if you're going for all 5. And pop through this pipe, and then you have the conventional exit, once again guarded by a football playing Chuck right there. Punting Chuck. Feel sorry for him. Just wants someone to kick a ball around with. A little too busy right now. Busy flubbing up, trying to make sure we don't hit any. That's more than I want. That's all right. 93. Alright, so this will continue on the normal path right here to the pipe, and this will take us outside to Vanilla Heights, Vanilla Secret 2. Not much secret about this stage. There's no secret exit. In fact, there's pretty much just a whole lot of Koopa Troopas. Flying Koopa Troopas bouncing around. And actually, so if we swallow one of these up, or just pick one up, we can get another flying feather there. Or cape feather. So this is a good place actually to grind extra lives right here. You just keep kind of hovering in the air, holding down both Y and B. You can take advantage of the recent population explosion of Koopa Troopas here and grab yourself a whole bunch of lives. Probably more if we weren't killing them outright. We could have gone back without Yoshi kind of crushing them to death, but yeah, if we just kind of smacked on their heads, they would still be around, so plenty of lives to be had right there. A few more right here. There's a silver P-switch right there, and we can use it on these Spinies, turn them all into silver coins. Like Blaze mentioned, pick them all up, and we get ourselves 3 extra lives right there. And we are now officially maxed out at 99 lives. I've been told the best location for using that silver P-switch, swallow it up and take it to right before where those Koopa Paratroopas were, and use it there, and there's just so many of them you can average about 30 lives each time, so great place to grind right there. Might do that if we were playing the Game Boy Advance with the 999 cap. Let's move on to Vanilla Secret 3, and again, no secret exit here. And got some dolphins for the first time. And Fluff, how about the dolphins?
In the Japanese version, Yoshi can actually eat these dolphins. This was taken out of the international versions, very likely due to the different cultural views towards dolphins.
Yeah, I know it's very rare, probably more so today, but there is a part of Japan where they hunt and eat dolphins, whereas in America, we just like to swim with them, or say, look how cute they are when they wear their little goggles.
Yep. It's not only illegal to eat dolphins here, it's also pretty dangerous as they're full of mercury, especially relative to a lot of other marine life. This is due to the fact that they're higher up on the food chain, meaning they live longer and consequently absorb more mercury into their systems by way of their diet over the course of their lives than most of their neighboring species.
Thank you very much, Fluff, as we got kind of smacked around there during that lesson on marine biology. Kind of pivoted in that direction there, but that's alright. Never know what you might pick up here on Video Games 101 as we get another 40 spot right there. Moving on to one of the more novel stages in this game, Vanilla Fortress. In this case, an underwater fortress. So we're definitely going to be using Fluff's tips on swimming. Remember, just hold down when you hit that swim button with B. Conversely, and we can just walk through here as Small Mario. Finally, incentive for our sucking in that last stage. Yeah, conversely, when you're trying to go up, hold up on that button as well. Just kind of the effect of transitioning between holding up or holding down to move around the water a little more efficiently. That's the key to surviving these stages. 2 different routes you can take in this area. I prefer the lower route. I think it's a little calmer. Don't have to worry about the revolving spiked chains quite as often, at least. And we have another boss coming up here that we have not yet seen yet, so let's throw it back to Gary for tips on this one.
Boss beaters.
Alright, for Reznor, you want to run and duck and slide if you're big. If you're small, you just run underneath and bop that platform underneath to knock off that first Reznor. But repeat this process while you're avoiding the fire for the next 2. And then that last one, you want to quickly jump as that one's coming around clockwise. Get underneath that platform, underneath him, just in time so you can get that jump off before he goes around to the basically the noon o'clock position, if you know what I'm trying to say, just like we do in the video here. Not too difficult if you follow this strategy.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah, we're going to backtrack now. Not just to Vanilla Dome, but back to the top secret area and make sure we're topped off before we carry on here in Vanilla Dome. And Fluff, why does Reznor sound so familiar?
Dave Brooks strikes again. While most of the Koopas were named after well-established at-the-time celebrities in the arts for Western markets, Reznor is the odd dino out, as he's named after rocker Trent Reznor, who had just made his pop culture debut 1 year ahead of Super Mario World's release in 1989, with his musical project 9 Inch Nails' debut record. Thankfully, and luckily, they chose a musician who is still very popular and relevant today, rather than, say, a Midge Eeyore.
Ouch. Apologies to all the Midge Eeyore fans out there, class, but carrying on. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. You know, it's one of those things you're like, well, I mean, has Trent Reznor been around that long? But there you go. Davy Brooks strikes again, indeed. As you can see here in Vanilla Dome 2, there are a lot of blocked off areas. And if you're guessing, there's probably going to be a P-switch at some point. You would be right, class. Very perceptive. We can unlock some areas, and there is a secret exit for this stage as well, so a lot to be covered here. We're going to grab this just so we can cross over, and if you go to the left, here is a P-switch, and we'll need it to open up this barricade, and then drop down this second opening. While those blocks are temporarily turned into coins via the P-switch, grab the key. And I don't know if we mentioned this yet, but it's obvious. When you're holding on to something underwater, it makes you go a lot faster. Just don't always have the control. So whether it's a shell, a key, a block, allows you to cut through that water a little bit faster, just not with the precise controls that you would normally have. So just something to keep in mind. Watch out for the shiny Koopa right there, as we did not. But it will take out these enemies for you and get you a 1-up or 2. Just be careful when you're popping into this pipe here. Don't get hit by it. And hit the giant red switch right there to populate all of the red blocks. I like that shade of red, by the way. Blue is the only one we're missing at this point. That'll be coming up in a couple worlds from now, a couple mini lands. As we populate the world with these red blocks. And then head back into Vanilla Dome 2 to beat this the conventional way so we can carry on. Have to be a little careful now in our game because playing a little fast and loose. Get ourselves a mushroom here, a super mushroom to give ourselves a little breathing room. More importantly, a little confidence which comes with knowing that you have that extra hit you can take before you die in so many games. It's a world of difference, isn't it, class, when you're playing with a full bar of health versus, you know, one more hit and you're dead. It's you tighten up so much. Can't help it as we try to get another power up there. Yeah, just kept coming out of the water there. Didn't want to draw attention to it like being in the middle of a no-hitter, but trying to keep this no-death run intact as long as we possibly can. Doesn't really get hard until those, the second half, certainly at the earliest. Watch out for the charging chucks there, just wondering what happened. Why they weren't programmed to be able to swim. You can see a P-switch behind that line of blocks right there. You could only get that in the checkpoint for this stage if you take that top route, like we did the first time, and gone to the right instead. But we're not too concerned about it. Just wanted to point out, though, that that's up there. Just cut through here for what it's worth. Just a change of scenery. As the splitting. It's multiplicity right here. Michael Keaton, anyone? Anyone see that movie? I like to throw out the occasional, just random 90s reference. A lot of films that, unless you grew up in the 90s, you probably don't know. Like we mentioned before, I don't remember which movie we were referencing exactly, but it's so many movies. Are we gonna get another one? There we go. 8 lives right there. Yeah, so many movies that you wouldn't know unless you grew up in that decade because they're just not worth mentioning. They're not worth remembering otherwise. They don't show them on TV all that often because they're not that great. They get sifted and sorted out, filtered out in favor of the good movies which came out in that decade, but I digress, Fluff. I'm told you have a fact about the boos.
Here's a fun fact for the impatient members of our class. If you stare at a boo for roughly 13 seconds, the boo will make a face back at you. Even better, stare at a big boo for roughly 25 seconds and he'll peek out from behind his hands. I like to think it's the boo's way of saying, we're all just having fun here, Professor.
We are just having fun. Thank you very much, Fluff. Mind the big boos, don't corner yourself right there. There is... He's kind of... Yeah, he was right by it. There is a vine to be found right there. If you hit that one particular block, grab yourself a dragon coin. More coins up top, but that's about it. Some coins right here in this block. Continue on into this next area where we have these giant green bubbles, which you can spin jump off of with A. I actually like to get one from the left-hand side of the screen and just kind of ride it to the all the way to the end. Generally giving me the height I need to rise above the other bubbles in this stretch here. Eventually you'll find some blocks you can hit for a P-switch. Before you go ahead and hit that P-switch, you want to grab it, take it over to the right here, and clear out these coins, as the secret door which will appear will only be accessible if we take out those coins first. And there we go. No secret exit to worry about this time. And we're moving on along to a Vanilla Dome 3 now. Speaking of the impatient members of our class, and honestly, I'm one of them myself, yeah, this level's not going to be to your liking, as we need to ride this slow-moving skull boat platform. Watch out for the blargs. If you hit that one at just the right time, you can give yourself enough time to grab that one up, but not worth dying for. Especially if you're at 99 lives right now like we are here in our particular game. And another one. You can actually do a spin jump off of their heads if you do it in just the right spot, but it's not advisable because it's such a tight window. Hit that right there to create a little platform for yourself. And if you have the... Make sure you actually get enough room to run right there. You can fly to the left here and grab yourself a 3-up moon. One of probably only half a dozen or so in this game, but then you can fly across this way, right across the gap, to find yourself another one of those Match 3 mini-games, which Fluff gave you the hack for earlier. We're going to skip that. And reluctantly hop back on our slow-moving boat here. Blarg's not difficult to avoid, especially if you have the ability to stagger your drop with a cape feather, but trigger this little boat, this little platform before you move to the right here so that you can ride across, as that lava is an instant death. We can drop in here. If you're looking for all the dragon coins, one of them is at the end of this little stretch here. Interesting that the ice biome and the lava biomes are so closely connected, just one pipe apart from the looks of it. Certainly grab yourself another feather right here though. And there's a fast-moving shell right here, courtesy of that Koopa which kicked it and then cost him its life. If you hit the checkpoint right there, the mini gate, you can become larger Mario right there if you're small Mario, so do that before you grab your power up, if you have the opportunity. But grab ourselves a Yoshi there. Yoshi can hop off of the blargs as well, as they can with most enemies, but again, tight window, and unless you want to see your Yoshi burn to death via lava, just melt right in front of you with a big old smile on its face to make it seem even worse. Steer clear of that. Another dragon coin right there. This is one of those stages which has a surplus of dragon coins. I think there's at least 6, I think. For what that's worth. There's one just to be found right here, but there's an extra one if you fly up above and you can kind of, the giveaway is the feather right here. or a sign that there might be something to check out above, so let's get this Buzzy Beetle out of the way and just fly on up. There's an extra one for an extra life right there. And we're going to leave Yoshi up here, hit that switch, and let's go for the 40. Why not? Not going to happen. 30 is nothing to sneeze at, though. 30 might be harder to hit than 40, honestly, so. Or at least that's the consolation mantra I tell myself when I don't get the 40. But moving on, another one exit level. Vanilla Dome 4. This is one of those stages where it's probably recommended to just fly over the whole thing. Certainly a lot more satisfying. Well, I guess it depends on what you find satisfying in a game. If you like playing it the conventional way as intended, then yeah, probably don't do that. But as I mentioned, I get a certain satisfaction out of bypassing the entire stage in just a couple minutes by virtue of our Cape Feather. Avoid all the bullet bills, Koopa Troopas, Piranha Plants. This blue pipe can be, if they try to sandwich you there, just a barrage of bullet bills. You can go in this blue pipe to find ourselves a level not unlike the one we just came out of, with another slow-moving platform here without the blargs to worry about. Cape Feather makes this a whole lot easier. You can't, if you have Yoshi actually, you'll get caught right there, so just keep that in mind. Best leave him outside again, unless you want to see him smiling at you as he melts. Remy just stands there on the lava. Honestly, he's resilient, that dinosaur, but regardless, I don't like to see it. As we come out of the pipe here, we can hit this to get ourselves a 1-up if we're quick enough. A few more bullet bills for good measure. And one more dragon coin for good measure as well. And 30? 28. Now on to Lemmy's castle here. And we have Magic Koopas to deal with for the first time in this game. I find it best to just charge right through like we did right there. Be very careful when you're cutting through the top to the bottom with your spin jumps, as you don't want to drop through the bottom floor with your spin jumps and fall to your death. But yeah, take out the barrier right there. You can jump on the Magic Koopas' heads, and then we can go to this next area just to grab yourself a 1-up. Otherwise, you would just go through a bit more lava, a few more Magic Koopas, and eventually a door, but get yourself a 1-up by going that route. Another area which is a lot easier when you have the Cape Feather, which we just lost, but there's a mushroom just down right in here. Might need to wait now to get out. Now we can squeeze it in. There will be one more box right before the boss, as per usual. Make sure that's up, obviously, before you get to the edge, so that you can make that jump right there. Watch out for the dry bones patrolling back and forth. Just knock them down to give yourself a few seconds of respite. And another item and another boss. Scary?
Boss beaters.
Alright, Lemmy Koopa's got a couple fakes working with him here, a couple dummies. You want to jump when his head pops out, when all the heads pop out. The cape float works really well here, so you can kind of float down, make sense of where he is, and maybe even fall on him. But find the real head, jump on him 3 times, he'll take him down. Just watch out for that fireball as well. Not too difficult.
Alright, and Lemmy. Fluff, who is Lemmy named after?
In getting back to the Koopa Kids named after musicians, Lemmy Koopa is named after British rocker Ian Fraser, aka Lemmy Kilmister, the founder, lead singer, and bassist of the heavy metal band Motorhead, most famous for their 1980 enduring hit Ace of Spades. While the musician Lemmy wasn't known for a mohawk, Lemmy Koopa rocks one, which likely led Dave Brooks, who named the Koopa Kids for the Western releases, to think of this punk and metal connection.
Makes sense. Thank you very much, Fluff. It's a nice video. It's been around for a while, but basically, African-American kid going up to Lemmy and saying, I like metal music, but you know, not a lot of my peers like metal music. What do I do? Like, it's basically just asking for advice, and Lemmy just seemed like a good guy, saying, screw him, do what you want. Metal is colorless, essentially, so yeah. Seemed like a good dude. Rest in peace, Lemmy. As we continue our little mishmash of the Twin Bridges and Vanilla Dome areas here. Make sure you grab that Yoshi, though. We'll need one to basically sacrifice to get to the secret area in this next stage. As we're going to take the right pipe here past Lemmy's castle to get to the lower area here in the Twin Bridges, the Cheese Bridge area. If you want to fly through as much of this level as possible, not a bad decision actually. See these saws on the tracks right here. The cape feather is an absolute must for giving yourself a little more hang time to float over a lot of these saws here, but yeah, take the topmost platform. There's a pipe you can enter here to the right if you want a little change of pace, get attacked by some bullet bills instead of some saws, but we're going to use the little runway here to give ourselves a little more lift and do this one more time. This is a little dangerous. I don't necessarily recommend this. As you can see right here, where you drop down, bit of a crapshoot, but if you can land on one of those saws. So the trick here is to go underneath the giant gate, dismount off your Yoshi, sacrificing him in the process. Grab yourself that 3 1-up moon right there, and that's the secret exit right there. Very sneaky. Before we head into Soda Lake, let's do the conventional exit here. Knock them both out, one after another. So this time, without the Yoshi, we can just fly through, get that running start, and it can be a little tricky when you can't see yourself to time this, but yeah, this is my favorite way to get through this stage. And as I think I mentioned earlier, this is my favorite way to get through most stages in this game. This is the bullet bill area right here. You can see they'll launch them at you. If you're, yeah, right there. Just from all angles, all directions. Shave a little time off though, but yeah, back to flying through the remainder of this stage. That was a little dicey. A little slicey, maybe better said, with the giant saw, but anyway, easy enough to knock that out, as you can most levels with the cape feather, and certainly after you've already gotten the secret exit, not a bad way to do it. But let's work left to right before we head into the next section and go to Soda Lake now, where we can make use of that swimming technique once again. You can see the amount of propulsion we get going up the lift when we hold up on those strokes. Use the cape spin to deal with the many blurps of Soda Lake. Very handy for using that trick of, again, holding down when you hit the swim button. You can basically swim in a straight line, which is great if you want to swim just above the bottom of the screen, because if you go too low, obviously that counts as basically falling into a pit. That's a loss of a life right there, but see, we can use it right there. Don't have to worry about the rhythm too much when you do it that way. But yeah, very dangerous. Soda Lake. Sounds like a refreshing place, but no, it's a good place to die. Courtesy of all these, they're not bullet bills exactly, but Torpedo Teds, I think they're called. Bullet Bill's cousins. Had a good time with the names. I guess that wasn't Davy in this case, but whoever did it had a good time doing that. Let's see how well we could do with this. Alright, give it one last try before we just say, yeah, I'll screw it. That's fine. We're not going for those anyway. Again, they're just padding out the walkthrough with extra time we don't need. So if you finish Soda Springs, you can head down here and you'll find the entrance to, well, there's another way to get into the Star Road essentially, but again, we're going to put those off till a little bit later and get back to the delicious sounding Cookie Mountain. Stretch always made me hungry as a kid. I think I know why. Like Soda Lake, there is only one exit here at Cookie Mountain. A couple different ways to go, a couple instances where we can go through pipes, but they're all ultimately ending up in the same place, for what it's worth. Watch out for the cute little Monty moles. Like to pop out and surprise you. And that little hop after they come out too. Sometimes that can get you off your rhythm. Couple sumo bros up there dropping the fire. Not necessary at all to go into this pipe, but just in the interest of showing you everything here, we'll drop in and we'll use Fluff's swimming technique, holding down as we are doing our strokes here to avoid these Porku puffers. And as you come out up top, could obviously just fly up here, but if you didn't have a cape feather right there, you can just use that to pop out and just run to the right to get that one up, and then another one on top of this hill right here. Dragon coin as well if you're collecting those. There's a vine right here to get up to this. You can also get to that platform over on the left to get yourself that one up that way as well. And it's your old pal Yoshi. Hopefully has no hard feelings about sacrificing him back on the cheese bridge just a moment ago. And there we go, got enough of those. And as Blaze mentioned, we now get the coins here. And just eat the power up via Yoshi's tongue right there to get ourselves an extra cape feather. Again, grab every single one of these, all 10 of these, to get ourselves a 1-up. Thank you very much. By the way, we can't get to those red blocks, or green blocks for that matter, down there for what it's worth, but as I understand it, the green blocks, when you can get to them, will always contain a cape feather. The yellow ones, always a mushroom, and then the red and blue ones contain nothing for what that's worth. And once again, instead of heading on to the next castle, which I think is now available to us here, Ludwig's Castle. Just confirm that, number 4, midway point. We're going to backtrack through Vanilla Dome once again, just in the interest of sort of loosely going in order here. Again, they split the 2 different ways you can go right here from the start here in Vanilla Dome, so but we are going to go straight up through here and take the top route on the twin bridges, the upper bridge, where we left off earlier, and Butter Bridge 1. Another auto scroller, but thankfully one with one single exit. There's actually some tricky platforming here. We may need to sacrifice Yoshi again, that is if we can even hang on to him. You can see you weight down these mushroom platforms, but as soon as you take pressure off of them, they will pop back up to their normal height. So much for that. Thing was, I was going for the 1-up as well. Completely unnecessary at that point, but yeah, grabbed a couple nonetheless. We lost our Yoshi though, so we need to be careful. Absolutely recommend coming into this stage. We're going down here, so you can ride this one down. Actually makes getting this dragon coin a little bit easier as you thread between those Koopa Troopas. Yeah, I absolutely recommend that you have at least one, if not two, cape feathers before you take on this stage, just because the value in being able to float around as everything's scrolling. Note the one up in that second from the left block right there on that top row as they speed up things here. But yes, you don't need to be nearly as precise with your jumps as you grab the final dragon coin there, while you have the ability to float down on this stage. Once again, if you have 30 coins when you hit that, if you've collected that many on that stage, then you'll get yourself a 1-up. But yeah, not too difficult as long as you have the cape feather going into this one, as most levels with pits are. And we have one more in the second butter bridge. Not out of the woods yet. I'd expect butter bridge to be a little more slippery, so you have more opportunities to grab yourself cape feathers from the start here, but hit this and grab yourself yet another cape feather if you need one. Lots of opportunities here. No reason to not have a cape feather here for hovering over parts of this bridge which are in desperate need of repair from the looks of it. You can fly up once you have a little bit of runway and grab yourself the dragon coin right there on that cloud platform. You have the Yoshi at this point. Swallow up one of those blue shells and just fly through the majority of this stage before he swallows it. About 18 seconds later again. Playing a little fast and loose here. We're trying to hold on to that no death run. Drop down in here if you want to grab the last dragon coin, or an otherwise inaccessible dragon coin if you skipped this area. No enemies here, just coins, so you can transition between the rope here and the platform at the bottom, and then just hover over to the right. A lot of traffic here on Butter Bridge too. And this is the final dragon coin. If you want to bounce off an enemy to get that coin for yourself, then that's the way to do it right there. Again, putting our lives at risk here, just trying to give you the full experience, as we made off with 40 stars here at the end of Butter Bridge 2. And it's time to take on Ludwig von Koopa. It's a big old mess. Well, I guess we still got 3 out of it. And Ludwig's castle, quite a bit different from most of the ones we've encountered so far. Very tight spaces we're operating in here. Having the cape spin helps for taking out enemies. And we can pop through the ceiling right on that square right there. And just to show you, because I have no interest in doing the actual minigame, but there is one of these match games here. I'm just going to go ahead and skip right on by it. Either way, if you kept going through the door, this would pop you out in the same spot right here. Mind that ceiling coming down, just get to that switch. You have plenty of time to, without having to rush and make any rash moves or decisions, which will probably end you up in the lava. You can hit that switch to reset it. And then at this point, just run for your life, right to left. You should make it with plenty of time to spare. And then we have another fence area. If you pop off to the right, you can grab yourself another cape feather. Or, you know, depending on what power-ups you have at that time. If you're small Mario, it'll just be a standard mushroom. Plenty of opportunities to get consecutive combos, though, on the Koopa Troopas here. But anyway, when you're ready, go through the door, and Gary?
Boss beaters.
All right, Ludwig von Koopa. Want to jump on his head and then avoid his shell when he's sliding around on the floor. When he goes back to standing, jump on his head again. At this point, he's going to jump across the screen. Just make sure you're ready to jump on his head once again. 3 hits, like everybody in this game, you'll take him down.
Thank you very much, Gary. And Fluff, I feel like I know the origins of this name, but you might as well tell us just the same.
Yeah, this one's obvious, but I have to mention it. Ludwig von Koopa was named after German music composer Johann Sebastian Bach.
What?
I'm just kidding, Professor. Yeah, he's named after Ludwig van Beethoven, obviously because of the trademark wild hairstyle.
Ah,
Beethoven was... Well, I only have so much time for each fact, but suffice to say that Beethoven is one of the most prolific and oft-performed composers in classical music of all time. Personally, though, I'm partial to Antonio Vivaldi myself.
yeah, I had a hunch you'd say that. Thank you very much, Fluff. Alright, we are now roughly halfway through this game as we enter the Forest of Illusion here in the Super Mario World walkthrough. Another instance where we have 2 exits on this stage, and we're going to go for the secret one first, and then on the second run through, we're actually going to bring in Fluff to cover a fun hack on this stage, which you can use to bank a lot of 1-ups, a lot of points, and speaking of 1-ups, you can knock that one out and then bop the musical note to get it to go over the lip there so you can grab it. Once again, if you have Yoshi here, you can just swallow whatever's in the box or you can bop it out. Grab yourself a star. Probably a good call when you have everything else that we have at the moment, by which I mean 2 of the feathers, and you can just grab lots of extra lives right here. Seriously clean up. That's not even the tip I was talking about, the hack that Fluff's going to mention, but yeah, hit that block right there and get yourself a balloon. You have enough time to take your time and float down and let it wear off, and then bop this block right here to have a key appear. Grab it, and there's your secret exit. But again, we're going to get both exits right here. So let's head back in, and as promised, Fluff, I'm told you have a little hack on this stage. Good way to rack up a lot of points, coins, and lives.
One of the best places to grind lives, coins, and points is midway through this first Forest of Illusion level. Midway through the level, you'll find 3 wigglers on one relatively small stretch of land. If you're Cape Mario, you can jump on one, then float down to land on another. Make sure you hold run for the extra floating speed, then alternate on the 3 of them back and forth, going far enough to scroll one of them off the screen each time. When you float back, it will have reset to its yellow state, allowing you to jump on it again to earn more points. Continue this without ever touching the ground to not only bank a 1-up, 2-up, and 3-up, but increasingly odd-looking symbols which earn you lots of coins and will eventually max you out at 99 lives and a max score of 9,999,990 points.
Thank you, Fluff. Yeah, there's a couple different places where you can do that on this stage if you don't want to be obscured by the trees, but there you go. As we're heading into another level with 2 exits, a secret and the conventional one. I like the secret exit in this level in particular. Little sneaky, it rewards exploration, I guess is the best way of putting it, or it rewards following this walkthrough, I guess, to put it another way, but let's take your time here. Note that you can't fit in above the urchins. They will do damage to you, so yes, patience. Very much key in this stretch, as much as it pains me to say, because, again, I am not patient when it comes to platformers, or most games, for that matter. Which is why a lot of times you see in these classes, assuming we have some decent items coming up, some restorative items, I'll just play tank mode and avoid as much damage as I can, but otherwise, you know, if you're feeling confident, just go for it. One of our many mottos here on Video Games 101. Again, just take your time, mind the Rip Van fish. That one shouldn't be a problem. And the secret exit is down and around in this section. So we're going to drop down, probably drawing the ire of some Rip Van fish here. Some narcoleptic Rip Van fish. And just swim on through this false wall. Key in the lock, and there you go. Simple enough, right? And this takes us to the final Switch Palace, the blue Switch Palace in this case. Be very careful when you hit these P-switches to drop down all these spinies. Gonna take out some of the coins first so that they can drop down. You can actually go ahead and, when you turn them into coins with the gray switch. And then you might want to backtrack to get some to sort of respawn. And we can probably get ourselves a 2-up right here. There you go. Can't stress this enough. You really should not be in need of any lives at this stage in the game. Just saying, if you've been following along, but hit that blue switch right there to populate Dinosaur Land with blue switch goodness. Spread across the land. And our progress will be saved, so. Little bonus right there. This looks like we're littering all across Dinosaur Land, but let's head back into the Forest Illusion number 2, which looks a lot more like the Ocean of Illusion. Illusion, a key term right there, though, with that false wall just now. I like the music in the Forest of Illusion, by the way, one of the better pieces here in Super Mario World, but yeah, going for the conventional exit here. Take this block to speed things up a little bit. Normally, as I said, I don't like the lack of control you get with these blocks, but I guess if it gets us to our goal a little bit faster as the conventional exit, 9 times out of 10, much slower than the secret exit, so anything I can do to shave a little bit of time off. Most of the dragon coins are pretty linear in this stage if you do a little bit of exploring or, you know, taking the slightly longer route in some cases, or a lot of dead ends in some cases as well. You can find all the dragon coins here in Forest of Illusion 2. The one exception is going low earlier on before we went up and to the right to continue on. Basically to the left of where the secret exit was, but yeah, you can't access it that way. Lots of Rip Van fish here. Just go right through the middle, use those weak strokes that Fluff mentioned by holding down, and let's just get the heck out of here. Too many baddies on the screen at once for my liking. This next one's a fun one, Forest of Illusion 3. Lots of power-ups and enemies, for that matter, as well, trapped in bubbles, and very pleasant sound when those bubbles pop. I like that sound, I don't know, I always like that. Just me, class? See a mushroom floating around in one of those, but another instance where most of the dragon coins are very much in plain sight. Hard to miss them. Another instance where we have a secret exit, and the way to get to the secret exit is through one of the pipes, actually. So we're just going to go for the conventional exit first. I kind of needed a quick finish to get that out of my system after the slow swimming of Forest of Illusion 2, so I wanted to enjoy that. They're definitely messing with you, though, with the conventional exit for that stage. Still need to do the Forest Ghost House, I acknowledge that, but let's go ahead and get the secret exit now for Forest of Illusion 3 and enjoy some more of these popping sounds, these snapping sounds. Grab yourself a Yoshi from this block right here. Sometimes I just go for the Yoshi when I need an extra hit. It's like a little bit of body armor, basically. You can see the Cape Feather works quite well on spamming those the hits on those blocks, much better than the jumps. Not your older brother's Mario right here, but yeah, we can pick up or swallow that spring right there. Just move that slightly to the right to get over that if you're not flying through. And ultimately we're going to drop ourselves into a tall pipe, which we have coming up here. I want to get a running start to get enough lift to fly up there. And that was kind of strange. This one right here. Extra tall pipe. But yeah, drop down in here and you just knock through these like we always do. You have Yoshi just swallow the key. And there you go. The secret exit and the only exit to actually leave the forest right here. But we're not quite done. We still need to go back to that ghost house we haven't gone to yet. And it looks like you would have to assume there's more than just 3 or 4 stages here in the Forest of Illusion, and you would be right. There's quite a few actually, but we're heading to the ghost house now. This is a fun one because we can actually leave the confines of the ghost house, which again you might assume based on seeing a door outside the confines of the ghost house. Once again, 2 exits here in the ghost house of the Forest of Illusion, but they're actually right next to each other, so once you figure out how to get out of the ghost house the first time, second time is very easy. Actually easier because we're going to go for the secret one first, and that one is just a few steps beyond the normal one, but come through this area here, watch out for the ghosts above you, the boos flying down. Again, when they come solid white, that's when you know that they mean business. I like all the different types of boos represented here. You get a nice variety of boos. All types. But anyway, grab this P-switch, I don't know what I'm saying. Go to the right here. And go through that secret door which appears. After you take out some coins, of course, you can get through it. And we're going to run right by this first door. And there's the last dragon coin, by the way. We missed 2 in that last room. But go through the second door, and you have found, well, 3-up moon, and also the secret exit to the ghost house. And you'd have to think, wow, secret exit to the ghost house. This has to lead us somewhere amazing. And you would be right if you like Forest of Illusion Level 1. I do, so I think it's great. But we're going to head back into the ghost house once again. And as I said, the normal exit right next to the secret exit. We passed it, actually. So we're going to do the exact same track again, using our little spin jump, since we don't have the benefit of the cape feather now to enjoy a little more drop with our Mario here. Still gutted we couldn't get him. I'm sorry for this class. I think that sentence made sense. My apologies, but yeah, if you saw our class on Super Mario Bros. 3, which you can check out via the link to the playlist in the description, every class we've done on this channel, then you might know why, but still great to get Yoshi there at the start. Very dangerous to go for the dragon coins in this section, but yeah, the exact same thing. We're going to stay as low as possible to avoid. Had a better run the second time, actually, as we leave the ghost house better off than we came in. That's always the goal, right? So come on right down and enter this first door this time. No 3 1-up moon to greet us and reward us for exploring this time, but more importantly, I suppose, we have access to a new area, which we did not have before, and yeah, another mini game, which when you're posting 99 lives on the counter like we are right now, probably not going to put too much effort into it, just trying to get it over as quickly as possible. I guess I'm happy with that score. We passed 1 million points just now, so we're looking good in that regard. So this brings us on to Forest of Illusion 4, which we're going to enter right here, and red dot once again signifying there are 2 exits here. You can grab the one up from Lake of 2, which they're using as bait right there. And we're going to wait for the star right here and give ourselves a little invincibility for the moment. And just trying to, there we go. And why not enjoy the cloud with Yoshi, with the star. We are kitted. We could not be more kitted out if we tried right now. Maybe if they'd worked in a Tanuki suit or something. I like that Yoshi's feet going through the bottom of the cloud there. The cloud won't last forever. Give out on us right there, but long enough to drop down in here and enter the secret exit for Forest of Illusion 4. Obviously, you don't need the cloud to get into that pipe. You can just jump off an enemy. You can dismount your Yoshi if you have one. So many different ways to, whatever the expression is right there. Slice. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Yoshi. Just talking about what a good guest he was in the start, but that's alright. And let's once again grab the star, assuming you have everything else that you need at this point, and the cloud just kind of slows us down. Just wanted to show that off before, but here's your checkpoint for the level. You can also fly in there if you have the cape feather, obviously, but if we go through this middle pipe, by the way, this will take us to an underwater section, but there's no secrets, no reason to go through there. There's no dragon coins or anything. If you want to fly up there, if you had Yoshi, obviously with the blue shell, or if you just fly up there, you'll find a dragon coin at the top of that string of coins, but we'll just hold on to it. Earn ourselves a completely unnecessary one-up right there. Just because it feels good, right? We're chugging right along through the Forest of Illusion here. Got both exits, and they love their redundant exits here in the Forest of Illusion. They just like deforesting the area. Deforestizing? Not sure the proper term, but it's not good. Don't cut down trees when you don't need to, class. Admittedly, a very specific group of the class right there, but nonetheless, here in Forest Secret Area, all we're doing is bypassing a lot of needless platforming, and if you fly over the checkpoint right there at the end, or the big gate, then you, yeah, whatever, it's fine. Then you get 3 1-ups like you can see right there, but yeah, I completely recommend that you come into this stage having yourself a cape feather and just doing what we did right there, because riding the platforms, dangerous and slow. Not in that order necessarily, it's more slow than dangerous, to be clear, but yeah, just nothing to be found there, no secrets as we enter the Forest Fortress. And that would have been an interesting way to earn our first death right there. So a number of buzzsaws to watch out for. They'll try to kind of herd you into a corner between the different obstacles. But if you play it like this, it's not too difficult to avoid. Obviously very helpful to have all the switch palaces hit by this point, as all colors are represented. You just hug the front of the screen to avoid this one here. There's enough room between the 2 obstacles. And same here. Fine most of the time, if you just stay in the front of the screen, you'll be just fine. More grinders here to deal with, I think that's the technical term. Note that you can spin jump off of these if you want to. But if you have the cape feather, you can just kind of pick your moment when you drop down and use that ramp to get yourself up with a little momentum. And you have a choice coming up here, and I'm probably going to regret this, seeing as we are working on a no-death run here, but in the interest of showing everything, get some running room. And if you have the cape feather, stay as high as possible, and over this massive lava pit, you will find yourself a whole mess of 1-ups. I think there are 9 of them? 9. Yes. Very satisfying. Not sure of the placement, but yeah, come in here and you find another room full of resoners. Recall Gary's boss beaters. And just like that. Yeah, if you can hit that jump just right, that works just fine. Weird seeing Mario so close to the stats bar at the top. But anyway, take out the Forest Fortress and you will have unlocked another entrance to the Star Road, but we're putting that off until late in the game. As I mentioned, we're going to knock out all of the normal levels first. So finally out of the Forest of Illusion, and on the other side we come to Roy's Castle. Out of one castle and into another. And we have a moving platform here. snake block, if you will. Don't worry, it's not Battletoads difficult. There's no Carnath's Lair, which, if you saw our class on Battletoads, yeah, you'll know we hate that one here on Video Games 101. But yeah, as always, whenever you have platforms in this game, whether they be unpredictable like this one or otherwise, you can see you have a tight little window as the fireball will come at you, but having a cape feather, like every situation in this game, makes this so much easier as we're just showing off at this point. Got 3 dragon. Now that's what we get for showing off. Good lord. Alright, so much for our both feathers back to back. Showboating here, class, and we're paying the price. Alright, note the differently animated spikes, which this would be a bad for, ooh, okay. Threading the needle. Alright, I'm quite happy with that. Gary.
Boss beaters.
Right, Roy Koopa. Very similar to the Morton battle. Jump on his head at the start, go to the right. He's gonna climb up the wall. Go to the middle. You wanna run underneath so he drops down in the middle. Jump on his head again. Do it one more time, the whole thing, you'll take him down.
Thank you, Gary. Always liked Roy Koopa. Looks like a rock star or a professional wrestler. Bringing fluff after there we go. Plenty of time before it gets a little too tight to maneuver in there, but Fluff, where did Roy Koopa get his name?
Roy Koopa is named after the Caruso of rock, Roy Orbison, who crashed on in the music scene with a string of hits in the early 60s after being signed by the founder of Sun Records, Sam Phillips, who was looking for a comparable artist to replace Elvis in the late 50s on his Sun label. Dark sunglasses like the ones Roy Koopa wears were a big part of Roy Orbison's trademark look, hence the inspiration for Roy Koopa's name.
Good call, Fluff. Yeah, like me some Roy Orbison. Also like me some Looney Tunes-esque hijinks right there, whatever you want to call that. As we continue on now to Chocolate Island. Chocolate Island 1. Only one way to exit here. And this is, I don't know, you kind of have the small dinosaurs, you got the big ones. Not full-on Little Big World, but hey, you'll notice they don't like being made small. The Dino Rhinos and the little Dino Rhino torches. Note that you cannot use your fire flowers on the fireballs on the big ones, just the small ones. And you could obviously just make that jump or glide over there if you have your cape feather, but go through there to essentially load yourself into the cannon and launch out right there. Very efficient, the cannon travel. Any Secret of Mana fans out there? Want to do a class on that in time, I think. That's one of my favorites on the SNES, while we're talking and playing SNES right here. But we'll talk more about that one when we come up on it. You can drop down into this pipe right here for a little in-between section with more of the dolphins, which Yoshi in this iteration of the game cannot eat, just to remind you. Don't eat dolphins. But we launch out of that pipe and just enjoy our glide, and there you go. You can see we just passed that final of the dragon coins right there, but that's where it would have been. Nice to get a single exit level every now and then. They're seemingly more few and far between at this stage in the game. No secret exit once again here in the ghost house for Chocolate Island. We're just gonna float over this if you got it. And you're not fooling anyone, Fish and Boo. Come on now, I love that expression on his face though, I have to say. Just looks kinda like he's disassociating. Didn't want this job. I don't know. You only have to work on what, like one level in this entire game? Seems like a pretty sweet gig to me. These guys are fun, these boos that are also blocks, boo blocks. The name just creates itself. But we're gonna lure these boo blocks over here, and actually there might be another chain of boo blocks. No, alright. So we're going to lure these boo blocks over here. Watching out for the chain boos. And you'll notice as soon as we... Alright, well that didn't work out very well. Don't do what we just did, but note that obviously they act like normal boos and that they start chasing you when you're not looking at them, but when you're facing them, they work as normal blocks. So we can use those to find the exit and head to, I believe, Chocolate Island 2, which will have a secret exit to it. And actually, it's a novel twist on how to access the secret exit for this next stage, Chocolate Island 2. We need to do this one as quickly as possible to access the secret exit. And you actually don't need to be that efficient, but essentially we need to get through the second pipe with 250 seconds left on the clock. So you can see we still have time to stop off, grab ourselves a 1-up or a Yoshi. So we go through this first pipe here. And once again, this section made much easier if you have yourself a cape feather, but we do our best. You can slow down and grab yourself some 1-ups by jumping on lots of Koopa Troopas, but get through this pipe by 250 seconds remaining on your clock. And if you did it right, by which I mean you had 250 or more seconds, you'll see these pitch and chucks right here. And we can take our time now, in case you're wondering, by the way. We're going to do that so we can grab ourselves a couple of cape feathers, which will appear in these green blocks right here. You get different varieties from the different colors, but I'm going to head through the secret exit like so. And we're going to come back and do the normal exit, but first we're going to follow this pipe through and just kind of knock out this. You can see Bowser's Castle in the distance as we go to Chocolate Secret. Only one proper way to beat this stage right here. Getting to the end and surviving. But yeah, you got some chucks here. Some buzzy beetles. There's multiple ways to go out of this area. We can go through this pipe right here, and if we do this instead, we get taken outside. Who set up the plumbing all across Dinosaur Land? These pipes seem to go everywhere, but Cape Feather very helpful here just for avoiding the Hammer Brother, just flying right over. No time. Got a checkpoint right there. And we're just proceeding downhill right here. Can avoid all the enemies if we just use our floating. We're not missing anything of vital importance here. Just a slightly faster way to avoid a handful of semi-annoying enemies scattered all about. Got some spike tops here. That one creature that I would not expect Yoshi to be able to digest, but apparently no problem. If you have the Cape Feather here, just float over the first two of those platforms right there, because they don't start sinking until you touch your first platform, essentially, so whichever one it is. So give yourself as much hang time as possible. Very helpful, so you don't have to rush right there. Same idea right here. But again, if you have the Cape Feather, doesn't look difficult at all, does it? Like so many things in this game. And then just the exit right here. And you'll see that if we go through the pipe, just the natural way of going right here, this essentially just gives us the back door to Wendy's Castle right here. But we're going to do every stage, obviously, so while we're backtracking here, let's get another Fluff fact about this game from Fluff.
Legendary Nintendo music composer behind many of the most iconic games in the Super Mario Bros., Legend of Zelda, Star Fox, and many more franchises, Koji Kondo was once again tasked with creating the soundtrack for Super Mario World. Rather than creating a wholly unique soundtrack, Kondo instead opted to modernize many of his existing Super Mario Bros. Themes, with variations on the structure, melodies, and through using different instrumentation, taking advantage of the SNES's superior audio abilities over the NES, such as the ability to add an echo effect, for instance, for the underground stages to add a sense of immersion for the player.
Yeah, good look, Fluff. Yeah, I thought the reverb what have you. Thought it was very cool when I was a kid, the different ways that they use those effects. The music of the SNES just hits differently than the NES. I think most people would agree with me on that count. It's, you know, not saying one is better than the other, but yeah, they were able to kind of encapsulate a lot more just kind of feelings with their games, musically speaking, and it's very difficult to avoid these mushrooms right here, actually, but... So make sure you go through, as we're back here in Chocolate Island 2, make sure you have under 250 seconds on the clock before you go through that second pipe to get to the different area that time, as you can see with all the bubbles and all the other mushrooms in them. Plenty of Rexes to slap around if you so choose, if the mood should strike you. And we're going to head right on to Chocolate Island 3 now, which, shocker, has another secret exit to it. And once again, shocker, I recommend that you have a Cape Feather to make getting around a lot of these swinging platforms a little easier. There are also, if you have a Yoshi, plenty of blue-shelled Koopas to give yourself the added ability of flight. Very useful here. Let's use one right now to more easily jump into this pipe. And unfortunately, seems like we were in that pipe for a while, but Yoshi seems to have swallowed our blue Koopa. Get a little running room there, it's possible, despite the different hills and everything working against your momentum. Hate to leave coins on the screen, but again, just in the interest of this not being the longest class we've ever featured here on Video Games 101, we're going to keep on moving. Yoshi can bounce off of these fuzzies, by the way, in case you were wondering, as most enemies in this game. And we hit 30 coins by virtue of going through that pipe right there, so that gave us the 1-up. And if you have the blue shell right there, we can go underneath the giant gate, go to the right, and find the secret exit for this Chocolate Island 3. And can we use the... No, we cannot. A little difficult to hit that just right, but I think I should honestly make it a point to not get any more red stars the remainder of this game, but just can't help myself. So that's actually the way to get to the Chocolate Forest and move forward, but we're going to go for the vanilla exit here, and we're going to leave Yoshi behind just because if we do it this way, we can literally just fly across the entire screen. And as I believe I mentioned earlier, this is one of my favorite things to do. Alright, well, until we hit a giant pipe. There will be more runways. We can get some more speed coming right here in a second. This should do it for us. Clear the runway first. And there we go. And I guess there's that one last pipe, the one that we would come out of. Yeah, there we go. Just ruining everything. Don't want this fuzzy to further ruin everything, so... just use our float right here. That was proud of that move right there. All right. And did not get 30 coins. We're not going to mess with that. And once again, hit this to get yourself a vine to climb up to the normal exit, and there we go. No stars. Redundant exit. Check, check. We're doing all right. Yeah, this is just going to lead us in a fun little loop. Let's just take a walk, right? There we go. I enjoyed that. All right, on the Chocolate Fortress now. And note that we don't have lava here in the Chocolate Fort. I keep wanting to say forest. Chocolate Fortress. I guess that's meant to be chocolate. It doesn't look that appetizing. I would rather eat from the Willy Wonka chocolate river that a goose's kloop fell and probably died in, then drink whatever that is down there. But note that that will kill you, same as lava, so be very careful there as we're trying to gap these. A little lazily right there. It's a little safer if you come in as it's going up rather than coming down, so you won't poke your head on the very, very sharp edge of one of those tips right there. Just wait for this swamp to do its thing. Retract back up to the roof. Love the thwimps. So cute. I know they want to kill us, but Just can't help it. You can find yourself another Cape Feather. Assuming you already have a Cape Feather or your large Mario right there. Super Mario. Can't get anything out of these red blocks, unfortunately, but it does trap that little thwimp. They only come in one size, is it? Kind of unnecessary to say little thwimp right there. Yeah, note their pattern right here. Cape Feather's nice for being able to safely bait the thwomp and then hover back to safety. We're trapping that thwomp up top with the blues and the reds. Duck there just to make sure we get clearance. One last power up and yet another set of Resners. They're bringing them pretty steadily at this point. That was a gimme right there. I feel like that flame hit us, but that's fine. We'll take it. See if we can hit that sweet jump. There it is. We're all kinds of in the... No, I guess that's the same spot we were in last time. Which makes sense, considering we killed that last Resner with the same timing, the same location as we did last time. Yeah, unfortunately there's no direct route to the next castle, but we go down to Chocolate Island 4 here. And again, we got some lava waiting for us at the bottom of the pits there. So be very careful. It's pretty satisfying to make the jumps on these platforms right there. As you can see, like, you can barely make it, and it's another gimme. It just kind of throws you up there. Forces you onto that safe ground, and if you've hit all the switches, or certainly the blue one, you can have a platform there. Not going to waste our time on that mushroom, but yeah, mind when you hit that one block right there and it sends that mushroom to the left. Just be careful about trying to go get it there. And once we've cleared the way, we can drop down in this pipe here and hit the P switch. This is an area where, and then go all the way over to the left, like we're showing here. And this is an area that if you have the Cape Feather, then you can clean up on quite a few extra lives right here. So you have just enough time, if you don't dally, to drop all the way down. And then once they return into solid blocks we can walk on, run over there, grab some 1-ups, run over here, grab some coins, run over here, get yourself... Well, we're not going to touch that garbage. There's a feather if you need one, but, I mean, probably already have at least one. And a bunch more extra lives right there, so... a little something on every single... Don't want that either. A little something waiting for you on every single one of these levels on the elevator. Note that it does not matter which of these pipes you exit through. They're all going to lead to the same area after this. I'm sure a lot of kids, probably myself included, just can't remember, spent a lot of time painstakingly going through, repeating this level and going through every single pipe, expecting a different outcome, but I think Nintendo was being nice. They were being kind when they showed that this is a golden/yellow stage and that there's no secret exit. So don't waste your time, kids of the early 90s. But eventually come out and you have the normal exit, the only exit. As we move on to Chocolate Island 5, this is a long area here. You can see a bunch of Spinies trapped at the start. Let's liberate them, but not before we liberate Yoshi from this center block here. And as soon as we hit this, obviously, all heck is going to break loose. If you go in there, you can get one of those match games that Fluff taught you how to hack it earlier. Grab ourselves I knew I was a little late with that. Oh well. If you keep going on, there's a bit of water with a dragon coin over it, but we're going to head down into this pipe where we'll find another dragon coin and bunch of blurps trapped in bubbles with the occasional mushroom there. So if you want to backtrack and get that dragon coin, it's back to the left. And actually there's a little platform with all the different color shells. So let's backtrack a little bit here. We'll actually pick up that dragon coin while we're doing this. Right there, there's our 1-up. Very happy about that, but there's just enough area on this little runway here. If you go back and forth and then just commit to it when you're going off to the right to get some flight, and then all the different colors, take your pick. What abilities do you want for your Yoshi? Flight? That's my personal favorite. So we'll ride this now. All the way to the right. Get an extra dragon coin for an extra life right there. And there we go. Perfect 40. Every now and then we can time that out just right. Finally on to Wendy's castle. Wendy's a big fan of the grinders. Her castle features quite a few of them. Also, quite a few of these spikes, which are incredibly dangerous. If you hit them from the side, they will take away your power-up, shrink you, what have you. If you get hit from above, they will flatten and kill you. They'll just kill you. There's no special animation. You're just dead. So, yeah, maybe take your time. I just know that there's that soft spot right between those two traces of the grinder tracks right there, but not too difficult if you take your time right there. And nothing in this block right here, literally just a little platform to make this jump a little bit easier. But a lot of fast-moving spikes here. Mushroom, which you might need in case you hit one of the sides of these. It's very dangerous. Can't stress that enough. Now we got some Sparkies here. A little Sparky. And the big boys are called Hotheads. Yeah, we can avoid them much more easily when we can glide down like so. Same with the Hotheads right there. Take up a bit more real estate, but move at half the speed. And note that there is not room to make that jump right there, or to go to this block. Initially, you'll be crushed by the above surface. And grab yourself another Cape Feather here. And time for Wendy. Gary?
Boss beaters.
Alright, Wendy O. Koopa. Very similar to the Lemmy battle. You want to jump when all the heads are popping out. That kind of cape float works well once again, so you can make sense of what's real. Find that real head, jump on it. Avoid the added projectiles this time, but again, same strategy, not difficult.
Thank you, Gary. Love that sound effect when we land a successful shot on Wendy. But anyway, that'll do it. And with context on Wendy's name, Fluff?
The sole female member of the Koopa Kids, Wendy O. Koopa, is named after the rebellious Wendy O. Williams, who sang for the punk rock band The Plasmatics, who were known for their theatrical and chaotic live performances.
Thank you very much, Fluff. I can't say I've ever listened to the Plasmatics, actually. I'll make it a point after this class. And actually, this is one of my favorites, probably. My favorite way of taking down the castle. Something very satisfying about that sound effect. And just kind of squeegeeing the, or mopping, I guess, better said, but just washing the Wendy's castle to the ground right there. Gotta wonder, why didn't we just do that to begin with? I guess maybe Mario's not that cruel, killing Wendy like that. He has to kill her first, jumping on her head, dropping her in the lava, and then, you know what, that sounds a lot more cruel, actually. Let's stop going down a road we don't want to go down, as we head to the sunken ship now. The manual actually says that this was a ship from Mario 3 that the Koopa Kids, I guess they were on, and I guess presumably Mario destroyed it, and it crash landed right here outside of what's eventually going to be Bowser's world. But yeah, I recommend coming in with as many power-ups, with a Yoshi, with as many whatever you want to use here. Doesn't have to be Cape Feathers, but 2 mushrooms, whatever it takes, just so you can give yourself plenty of hits, because yeah, you don't always have time to react like you would like to with all of the disappearing and reappearing boos in different spots. If you don't see a way through, just hang out for a second and just wait for them to disappear and reappear, and you'll typically have a track forward. Just be very careful that they don't appear in on top of you, obviously. And we finally drop down here on the other side. And plenty of opportunities to grab yourself some one-ups right here if you take your time. Lots of targets to hit. More stars to grab as well, actually. I love all these Koopas just with blank expressions on their faces, wondering why they're here. Just infinitely dropping. You see the platform right there. We could have gotten ourselves another star right there, but... yeah, Bill and Ted 2 style, just dropping for infinity, essentially. Plenty of coins. Suppose if you were very accurate, you could probably have swallowed up one of those blue Koopas. Giving Yoshi the ability to fly right there. Have to do like a James Bond-like maneuver to catch up with our Yoshi, but that's alright. Just kind of grab this throwback token right here, this orb. And this will unlock the entrance to the Valley of Bowser and the final stretch here in Super Mario World. Alright, as we enter the Valley of Bowser, we're in the final stretch of the Super Mario World walkthrough here on Video Games 101. As we just have the Valley of Bowser's levels, and of course the hidden areas as well, the Star Road and the special levels after that. Go down right here to grab yourself the first Dragon Coin here in the Valley of Bowser. Level 1. We can use the Cape Twirl to kill the chillest enemies in all of Super Mario World. The Monty Moles. Grab yourself the second Dragon Coin by taking the top route right there. Some charge and chucks if you go down. But we're going to go up top, and we're going to wait for a Monty Mole to move right to left here, and then ride him back to grab ourselves a 3-up moon if you go to the right here. Very nice. Grab the third Dragon Coin by taking this second from the top route. We can use the Cape Spin to grab some lesser power-ups. Drop down one level and then drop down again and jump here to create a bridge for yourself for the return trip. Grab the fourth Dragon Coin. We're going to go up and around here, letting the charge and chucks cut a path for us. Oblivious to the fact that they just helped us out right there. Again, if you have the Cape Spin, take them out quite easily. There is a vine in that block, which we just ran over as we get the final Dragon Coin for this stage. Yeah, if you fly up or hit the vine right here, if you take that all the way up, then you will get to another one of those match games, which, again, Fluff gave you the hack for earlier, but we're just going to head for the exit here. And move right on to Valley of Bowser 2. We have a secret exit in the next one. Where we'll have access to, depending on which exit we take, the Ghost House for the Valley, as well as the Fortress for the Valley. Not to be confused with Bowser's Fortress, obviously, but you can see them both right there. At this soon-to-be crossroads. Another one of those stages which requires a lot of patience, especially when we want both exits, because we're at the mercy of the timetable of these moving surfaces here, the floor. Not my favorite. Yeah, if I have one vice, one weakness, one whatever you want to call it, it is impatience in my platforming games. Just like to charge right through. As you've probably seen many times with a lot of games, just seen me take needless damage. If you have a Yoshi right there, this will take you, those wings will take you to one of those secret Yoshi areas that we have seen before, but not necessary for getting either of the secret or the normal exit here. Anyway, as part of me dies, while we painstakingly wait for this screen to move, it's not difficult. Like I said, it's very time consuming. So to help me kill some time right here, stave off the monotony of this section, yeah, let's bring in Fluff for another Fluff fact about Super Mario World. Fluff?
One more note about the Koopa Kids, Professor. while in the 80s, 90s, and even into the 2000s, these baddies were referred to as the Koopa Kids and were said to be the offspring of King Koopa, that's Bowser himself. Mario creator Shigeru Miyamoto and Nintendo have walked back that theory in recent years. Since New Super Mario Bros. Wii, the kids have been more often referred to as Koopalings, who are the minions of Bowser without bearing any relation to him by blood. While no explanation as to why they changed the lore has been given, I'd expect it's because no one at Nintendo wants anyone to think about Bowser smashing. And who would that even be with, Professor?
Yeah, I don't know. I know I don't want to either, and I'm sorry we put that thought in your head, class. But good call. Yeah, I don't know why the change right there. That's a good question. Yeah, still waiting. Haven't even gotten through the first loop of this yet. Again, not difficult, just very slow. The only difficulty comes from making sure that you don't move prematurely when it comes to going through any of these sections. We can go above and over here to access the secret exit. Grab the key. This feels very much like Super Mario 2, the Doki Doki Panic international version of Super Mario 2. As much as I'd love to move on to the fortress, let's do the normal exit here. Just fly through this first section, try to avoid as much of this as possible. It didn't work out exactly. But, yeah, what else? What else can we say? What else can we tell you? Oh, you can, Fluff probably would have told us this, but, we just went to him. You can revisit any of the castles you've already beaten by holding down L and R when you're over one of the busted castles, and yes, you can re-enter it for, if, you know, whatever reason. There's some opportunities, obviously, like we mentioned earlier, where you can grab a lot of extra lives by staying on the fences and just racking up consecutive kills on the Rexes, or not the Rexes, but the Koopa Troopas that are climbing those, so opportunities there. Meant to ask this earlier, class, but might as well do it now. We got nothing else going on. Which of the artists which inspired the Koopa Kids' American names, Davy Brooks, which is your favorite of the bunch? Which do you listen to the most? We got Roy Orbison, Wendy O. Williams, it was the Plasmatics. You had Lemmy Kilmister, Motorhead, Iggy Pop, or Beethoven. Probably some fans of Beethoven out there. Yeah, you know we're hard up for commentary here when we are asking if you prefer Beethoven or Motorhead. But this is where we are nonetheless. So this will take us to the ghost house for this area, but we have that fortress, the Valley Fortress, which we can access by virtue of the secret exit which we took here. And that actually opens up the sort of the back entrance to Bowser's castle here. And got to be very careful there, especially if you're Big Mario. If you're small, it's not an issue, but yeah, just run to the right there and then duck to make sure you don't get crushed. Be very quick here to make sure you don't get crushed, but yeah, I guess just in the interest of showing you everything here, we'll go for the back entrance to Bowser's castle, and I guess we'll take him on, but we'll speed it up. I want to make sure that we do that just so that we get the full experience. So we're going to head back to the right now and go up into the Valley Fortress here. Let's knock this out first. A lot more of these instant death spikes here if they hit you from above, so they give you that little hint when they're about to come down first. And this is some of the trickiest platforming in the game because they gave you very limited windows to get through here, and there's a section coming up in just a second where they come down even faster. So Not the easiest. That section wasn't too bad, but yeah, having the Cape Feather here kind of allows you to kind of float in as it's about to come up, essentially. That first one's not bad. That one's not bad, but that's very tight. Alright, there we go. But anyway, more Resners wait for you on the other side, but yeah, that's some of the most difficult platforming in this entire game right there. And that was a little dangerous. I think we're safe here. Platforms were disappearing at an alarming rate there, but alright, so we're about to head into Bowser's Castle, the back entrance. We're going to see this when we go in the front door eventually anyway, so I think we're going to speed this up. And speaking of speed, while we're doing this, let's bring in Fluff for a fact about speedrunning this game.
Somewhat similar to Super Mario Bros. 3, it's possible to beat this game much faster and specifically in just 12 levels. Whereas in Mario 3 you had to use 2 warp whistles you could obtain in the first few levels to jump ahead to the final world, here you make use of the Star Road warp points. Play through Yoshi's Island stages 2, 3, and 4, and Iggy's Castle, followed by the secret exit for Donut Plains 1, the secret exit for Donut Secret 1, then the secret exit for Donut Secret House. Take the Star Road entrance and play through Star Worlds 1 through 4, then take the adjacent Star Road exit to walk right up to Bowser's front door for the final level. It's certainly not easy, as you won't have the very useful red and green switch blocks activated for that final Star World, but this speedrunning route allows you to complete this game in less than 15 minutes if you don't lose any lives.
Good call, Fluff, as we hit the reset button here. We're going to go back after we essentially just saved our game, I guess, after that fortress. But there you go, back entrance. Just wanted to do that. Let's head back to the ghost house. If nothing else, this is a chance to bank some more lives, which actually work towards our count. Just something demoralizing about grabbing all these extra lives and not seeing that number go up at all, so hence the reset. So there's 2 different ways to beat this Valley Ghost House here. If you're quick, you can grab yourself an extra life right at the very end. And the different doors that we just passed take you to different areas. The middle doors will take you to the normal exit. This is probably one of, if not the most difficult of the secret exits to get. Be very careful. Again, we're controlling this snake with our D-pad. Gotta make sure that you don't... Oh god, are we gonna miss this here? Oh! Don't tell me we don't bring you the drama here on Video Games 101. That was like something Stallone would have done in insert your own action movie of choice, or Schwarzenegger if he was your preference in the 90s. But regardless, that was pretty satisfying. But be very careful when you're controlling that coin snake right there for the different blocks, because if you just go straight up, you can't ride it like that. Mario will essentially get crushed. He'll get sucked in between a block and it'll act like you're being crushed right there. So anyway, grab that one up, and this time we're going to take the second, one of the last 2 exits before that last one. So I guess 3 and 4 from the left will take you to this normal exit right here. And on to Valley of Bowser 3. You can see we made that shortcut to Larry's Castle, but we're going to skip that. We'll go the honest way. And here we have little platforms which show you the amount of gas they have in the tank, essentially, in seconds. So we get 4 seconds here on this platform. Another instance where having a Cape Feather, very useful, surprise. And we have another mini game right if you go through here. You can also use it as a very miniature shortcut. Not useful at all, really, just splits us out on the other side of just that pit right there is where we entered, essentially. So use this spring right here, grab yourself a fire flower. Guess I'll take that over a mushroom, but Honestly, not a bad level to, on that long piece of land which we just came from, to get some speed and maybe just fly through the rest of this level. Got some of those oversized bonsai bills coming in here in just a second. There we go, right on cue. The more we can hover, the better. Just make sure you're not coming down without a platform in front of you and straight into the path of a bonsai bill. But eventually you'll get to the end. Thankfully just the single exit right there. And one last underground level here. As you can see, we have another secret exit to this one. And Valley of Bowser 4. Got some digging chucks. Just digging giant boulders to launch at us or fling at us. You drop down in this pipe to get in this little ice land area here. The only thing to really grab here is this Cape Feather. Otherwise, just come right back out the other side of this pipe. And you'll see it backtracked us a little bit, but I'd say it's worth it to pick up that Cape Feather right there. Grab yourself a vine to climb. And you'll find a Yoshi in this block right here, and this Yoshi is essential for getting the secret exit to this stage. Actually, we need to swallow the key through a wall to use it on the lock. So whatever you can do to keep Yoshi alive. If you lose him, just go for the normal exit. That's my plan. Hopefully it won't come to that. There's the checkpoint right there. Just eating rocks and dirt. Guess I won't question Yoshi's constitution at this point. Have I mentioned how useful the Cape Feather is in the last minute? Can't say it enough, but... And the key is directly below us. I'm just gonna go for the normal exit and then go for that 40 spot. And then come right back in and do it again with Yoshi. So after this, the secret exit will open up the entrance to Star Road in this neck of the woods. But yeah, so we'll do, I guess, Larry's Castle, and then we'll head into the Star Road levels, the Star World stages, and then from there the special stages, Special World. And then finally take on Bowser's Castle and finish this game. One of our longer walkthroughs here on Video Games 101. Just want to make sure you're aware of the curriculum here, the order in which we're doing things as well. We're feeling it now, though. Still working on our no death run, technically. No, we kind of started over. I like that, just dropped us right back on top of Yoshi right there. You can see just doing the same track when you come in with the same speed, and this time drop down. Just keep it in your mouth right there and somehow open the lock. And there's the entrance to Star Road. Yeah, let's take on Larry's Castle now, the last of the regular stages, I suppose, outside of Bowser's Castle itself. Again, nothing like Karnath's Lair. These riding platforms here, although, yeah, some of these chains, fallen chains here, it's a little dicey to avoid them. Here we can definitely ride this without worrying about being swallowed up and losing a life. Thankfully. Ultimately, we're trying to go to the right, but yeah, this is just taking us the long roundabout way. We'll be able to hit that block once it comes up top. Grab yourself another dragon coin right there if you like. And try to avoid this mushroom. And is this moving at the same... Couldn't tell if we were outrunning that or not, but whatever. Feeling good. I don't think we'll need that extra feather. Nice as it is to have this one, though. Thankfully, they're not cruel to the point where it, at one point, you know, gets too high for you to make that jump, like you see in some games sometimes, but yeah, not too bad here, those moving platform sections of this game. Some Magic Koopas showing up here. And now we gotta wait for them since we don't have our Cape Feather here to... And he would gap that, wouldn't he? Little help, Magic Koopa? Alright, I can probably make this work. There we go. Almost to our detriment. Can jump on them, but only when they're right there sitting in front of you. It's a tough, shallow jump to make right there, yeah. Gonna bait them in. Alright, not making this easy on ourselves. Might be looking at our first death right here. Mentioned this earlier, but yeah, how differently do you play when you don't have that mushroom in your back pocket, when you're not Big Mario? Just kind of baiting them to fire up. And it's... there we go. I like that it's essentially the PlayStation symbols right there, ironically. Gary?
Boss beaters.
Alright, Larry Koopa is just like a more complicated version of the Iggy battle we had at the start. Got some extra fireballs jumping around this time, or actual fireballs coming up, threatening our seesaw platform, so watch out for those when they pop up. But otherwise, it's the same strategy. Don't get impatient, just make sure you're always doing damage on the lower side so that Larry slides off the side and you'll take him down.
Thank you, Gary. And Fluff?
So you got Koopas named after some of the most famous people in history, and then you've got Larry. I said early on that almost every single one of the Koopas is named after a famous figure. Well, Larry is the exception. There have been a lot of arguments about who he may have been named after. For instance, many purport that he's named after longtime media magnate and talk show host Larry King, but this rumor has never been confirmed. Dave Brooks, who earlier I pointed out was in charge of naming the Koopa Kids as part of the localization for Super Mario Bros. 3, has admitted with regards to the name that Larry Koopa, quote, just looked like a Larry.
Can't argue with that. Thank you very much, Fluff. So we're going to do these Star World levels a little out of order, at least for this first one, starting with 5, just because I don't feel like going all the way back. But once again, 2 different ways to beat this stage. The secret exit is the one we're doing first. So basically just build up some speed at the start with a Cape Feather and come up top here. And then duck and slide underneath those blocks right there. And easy as that, you have the secret exit, which actually takes us to where we ultimately want to go, to the special areas, but we're not going to do that yet. So we're going to beat this the conventional way to make this connect with Star World 1. And then we'll just do them chronologically from there. But once again, a Cape Feather, very useful here. We're not going to fly through the whole stage. We're going to show you what we got here in Star World 5. But we can make our little coin bridge here by hitting that and then hitting the P. But we can also just use the ground beneath it to create a little runway for ourselves to fly to this area here, I want to point out, where we have a baby Yoshi. And if we feed baby Yoshi 5 enemies, 1, 2, 3, 4 enemies. I'd say I'm wrong, but I really do think it's meant to be 5 enemies right there. But nevertheless, we have ourselves a yellow Yoshi, which are the stomping kind, so you can use that to stomp the enemies around you to take them down when they're in that close proximity there. Not sure why that one didn't take, but worked on the spinies earlier. Nothing that a good cape twirl can't take care of. Now, actually, earn a couple extra lives here, but now this will connect us back with the normal connecting point back to Star World 1, so we can go through these stages as intended now. And can we get ourselves... maybe not. Might have gotten a little bit of off rhythm now, especially when I'm... yeah. Is what it is. 4 extra lives right there. How about that? All right. So now we're going to head back to Star World 1. All of these have, you can see where this connects right here. Back in the normal area. Might as well grab ourselves an extra Cape Feather, since all these stages are quite challenging, actually. Grab ourselves an extra life as well. Like our yellow Yoshi. This first Star World is very simple, actually, for both exits. We'll start a little spin jump right here, hop back on Yoshi, and just keep going lower and lower. There's a number of different items hidden within the blocks here. You have dragon coins there. We missed one already. There's a Cape Feather to the left. Fire Flower to the right, back up there. Extra life right there. And we force down, that's fine. Get a star. Another star to the left, actually, so you'll get one whichever side you come in on. Got 2 more of the dragon coins on this side, just regular coins on the right. Got a bunch of flying Koopas in the middle of that area. Keep our star going here. And that's about it. But yeah, this will spit you out with just a normal exit here. And the secret exit even faster to grab. So we'll duck back into Star World 1 and knock this out now. Just sends you back, but again, we're trying to get every single exit in this game, so just in the interest of showing every single exit and getting that perfect score, or at least this game's interpretation of a perfect score, we'll do that, and then we'll drop down and get the actual exit to this area, which you don't need Yoshi for. But we'll head over to Star World 2 now, an underwater level. And if you don't already have a Yoshi, that'll be a blue baby Yoshi. And I'd like to give this star a little bit of a head start before we grab it so we can get a little bit more time with it. And then just have some fun taking out the Rip Van fish. All the different sea life here in Star World 2 to rack up a whole bunch of 1-ups here. We have a second star. Just make sure, again, you hit it before you lose your first star. You don't have to grab it while you have your first star, but you have to make it appear while you have your first star. Hit that block. And you can see how easy it is to clean up lives here in Star World 2. Honestly, just hitting this stage probably, 3-4 times, something like that. You could easily max out at 99 lives for what it's worth. But again, 2 different exits. We're going to go with the normal one first. And once again, the hidden exit is just as easy as that exit right there, essentially. Let's see how long we can hang on to this yellow Yoshi. I like this one. I like the color. Like his vibe. So let's head back. Star World 2, same thing. Let's see how many lives we can get this time. Don't want to accidentally swallow that star early. Don't want to lose our Yoshi either, obviously, because he runs a little bit faster than we can swim in this stage, so we can't catch up to him. And he'll be lost, so see if we can at least get, maybe flirt with 50 lives. Not gonna quite get there. It's about the best we can do. That's alright. 44, not too shabby. There we go. Alright. 48. Lasted a bit longer than I thought. Alright, so mind all the Rip Van fish that are coming after you, and this time we're gonna go low here. Use Fluff's swimming tip. Just hold down as you hit that B button to just keep a nice straight path, essentially. But that's the secret exit and the actual way to progress and make that connection to Star World 3. This one is ridiculously easy and ridiculously short, actually. So we'll do with the normal exit first. Let's see how many of these coins we can grab first, actually. And yeah, we're not gonna have time. All right, that's fine. So let's just head out. So again, this will send us back. If we want the secret exit, which will make the next connection, you could kind of see it above us as we were flying right there. We get some more. Nah, I kind of get off my rhythm there. That's all right. I kind of launch off for that last one. That would have been satisfying. Oh well. There we go. Got 2 out of it. Yeah, this is my kind of level right here. So it sends us back, so we'll go for the secret exit, which is right above us. Grab that one up again, get a little speed, and just, well, it's just to the left of that block right there, as you can see, that blue block at the top. Fly all the way up, grab yourself the key. Gotta keep my Yoshi pal. Record for this playthrough that I think we've had a single Yoshi. And then the final Star World, which we haven't seen yet, we get a red baby Yoshi there at the start, if you didn't already have one. And plenty of opportunities to just fly through this one, as you see a lot of the blue-shelled Koopa Troopas. And make sure you keep on top of it, remembering that Yoshi only keeps that shell in his mouth for so long. It was about, what, 18 seconds, something like that, so. But one is actually necessary for coming down here and getting the secret exit. We can use this actually to dislodge the key from the box. And there's your secret exit. And that makes our last connection there. Let's just go through it again, fly through, and while we're doing this, another fluff fact.
There's a secret glitch here in the hidden exit for Star World 4, which you can access if you are Kate Mario and have a Yoshi. With the key in Yoshi's mouth, build up speed and bop every green block to the left. When you spit the key out, it will have changed to an upside-down Cheep Cheep, which can't hurt Mario, as you can see here.
Very cool, thank you, Fluff. Also very cool are the special levels which we're about to enter. Thought it was really cool finding that as a kid, all the different names of those stages, just something different. Just felt like you were kind of like in between the code of the game or something. You were somewhere you were not meant to be, and yeah, it was cool. Say it again. So since we've already done stage 5, let's go ahead and move on to the secret area, which we unlocked by unlocking the secret exit for 5, and we head on into Gnarly. Amazing if you have made it this far. First thing you want to do is grab this Koopa with your Yoshi. Bring a Yoshi, by the way, if you haven't already. And we'll fly all the way up to the top. Hit this P block, keep going. Grab a 1-up right here. I'm going to see how quickly we can do this. This block will not be here once that P switch runs out, but if you make it, you can go through that pipe. If you go down to the bottom, you'll come out through this pipe right here, but just a little fun way to go right there. You can get some silver coins from that lake too, but we don't care. We got a 14. I think it's the first 14 we've drawn this entire game, actually. All 60-some levels. I guess the ones with the tape. Maybe a bit more, actually, with the secret exits and everything. But on the tubular and class, this is going to break my heart because it's time to leave our Yoshi behind. I'm going to leave him right here rather than letting him drop to his death because we have some P balloons to grab. And this is some tricky, not platforming, but floating. Trying not to hit any of the Chuck's projectiles. Any projectiles in general, really. There's a lot of things which want to deflate Mario here. This is probably the hardest one to hit because we're about to run out and we need to hit this P balloon. But yeah, if you thread it like that, you can make it work. And we could probably ride this last balloon all the way to the end. We are good. And they give you the 1-up for doing it with the balloon. But yeah, that level, it's compromised many a no-death run, in my experience. But we move on now from tubular to way cool. Very Clarissa explains it all right there. Any Clarissa explains it all fans here? Not gonna lie, class, had a bit of a crush on Melissa Joan Hart when I was a kid. Also realized even when I was a kid that if I were Clarissa's dad, I probably wouldn't be cool with Sam or anyone having a ladder up to my daughter's bedroom window. But anyway, we're gonna ride this ignoring all the switches and then just float over here with the cape feather to grab ourselves a Yoshi. And we have an opportunity for some Yoshi wings to get to a secret Yoshi area right here. As our milquetoast green Yoshi becomes a vibrant and brilliant blue Yoshi that can fly. Well, right now at least. Good color. We'll see how long we can hold on to this one after we had to say goodbye to old yellow. But drop down after that, and that's just objectively a more way cool way to beat that stage. Some might say awesome even. Yeah, grab the shiny special shell right there. It's all flickering different colors, and you unlock all of the abilities for Yoshi. Old blue here. We can stomp. Oh, I guess it just disappeared. Well, whatever. We can still fly. Any shell. It's pretty great. On a level like this in particular. And I'm not sure, I was going to say, I wasn't sure where we were right there, so I was very careful about dropping. Just burning through these levels. They're not necessarily more difficult than other levels. In that case, it was more just an issue of having lots of different enemies being thrown at you all at once, which I guess in theory does make this more difficult, but we move on to Groovy now. A lot of pokies in the Groovy stage. And actually, a groovy fact about this stage, you might recognize it from the intro when the music was playing and just the demo mode, if you will. Yeah, that's this map right here. We actually get to play it, which is kind of cool. Not way cool, mind you, but yeah, you see all the pokies right there, and we're just flying above them. And again, just recycling shells is a great way to get through stages like this. Assuming you got your blue Yoshi, like we got here. Which you should have too, because we just got it, essentially. When our green Yoshi turned into a blue one, and there's plenty of shells to go around to fly through most of these stages. As we're moving on now to the one name of a stage which never fit with the others. One of these things is not like the others. That would be Mondo. I guess you could use Mondo as an adverb, you know, saying this is Mondo awesome, or something to that extent, but just kind of sounds wrong. But anyway. I was gonna say, don't tell me we lost blue. At least he's not going far when we do lose him. He can swallow up a lot of the fish, knock him off his perch. Like so. Couple Koopa Troopas right up ahead so we can fly a little bit more. Build up some speed before we do it. You can go in that left pipe to just go to a little coin section. Get the 5th dragon coin if you're interested in something like that. Another one right there. And we'll just softly touch down right there. Spit out the red shell and Mondo down. It was Mondo easy with the blue Yoshi, I have to say. Starting to use it. We need to work that more into our everyday vernacular, I think. Mondo. Outrageous. Another kind of wooded area here. Probably one of the more difficult stages in the game. Yes, you can swallow bullet bills, by the way, and fire. And I'm done questioning Yoshi's stomach here. Trying to get a little bit more speed here before we fly over this, but swallow up that spring. And then you can see there's another one along the way, but it's a little safer to grab that one than the second one, and then use that to jump over that massive, just way too tall for its own good pipe right there. And they're just throwing everything at you now, just enemies popping out of blocks. 58 extra lives at this point. Just a lot of craziness here and outrageous. You might describe this level, deservedly so, as outrageous actually, but just one stage to go after this. And I like to use a little bit of runway here if you have the Cape Feather and just fly over this little craziness. Note that there's no pipes you can go into in that stage, but anyway, a little context on the names of these stages now and how it differs from the Japanese regional version. Fluff?
While the special worlds are all named after 90s surfer lingo in the Western localization, in the Japanese version, the first two levels are named Fun Course. Levels 3 and 4 are named Even the Mario Staff is Shocked Course, likely a joke meant to praise the abilities of the player. 5 and 6 are named Specialists Course, and 7 and 8 are named Championship Course. And none of the pairs feature any differentiation in their names within them.
Yeah, I think we came out the winners in that. It's a small victory, but we'll take it, us Western players. Thank you very much, Fluff. And one last stage class as we get a little funky. And kind of like some of the stages we encountered earlier, there's plenty of opportunities where we can grab the odd Koopa Troopa shell. And if we have our blue Yoshi, we even have a couple blue shells. If you don't have a blue Yoshi, you can fly through. But yeah, we're taking this one all the way, class. I think we're good with this Yoshi. Hit that for the extra life. And even the game is respecting your skills at this point, as am I if you're playing along with me, as you are a super player. I think the Japanese version says the same thing, only the grammar's not as spot on. But anyway, after that, you'll see a sizable change take place across the map. Fluff?
Beating every hidden level creates a number of changes across the game. The overworld and a few sub-areas go through autumnal seasonal-looking changes, while shells and enemies in the Koopa Troopas, Piranha Plants, and Bullet Bills change their appearance as well.
We'll take a look after we clean up on these 1-ups right here. Nice 8 spot to bring our total all the way up to 69. There we go. Alright, so as we exit the special world right here, as you see the Super Nintendo logo right there, this will kick us out back where we started the game, back at Yoshi's house. And sure enough, there's the autumnal kind of makeover that you have. Certainly in some areas of the world more than others. Kind of autumnal, kind of springish. But anyway, make sure you're topped off for this final stretch, that just being Bowser's Castle at this point. Grab a couple Cape Feathers. Don't need Yoshi, obviously, since he doesn't come in anyway, but once you're ready, take the Star Road. You'll see even the Star Road has gotten a bit of a makeover right here, but we're just going to cross over to the bottom right Star Road exit, which will take us back to the Valley of Bowser and in the front door. And we bid a fond adieu to Old Blue here. Been fun. Alright, so going in the front door of Bowser's Place, you have 2 sets of 4 different rooms. So I recommend 2 for the first set. Each of the different doors has different obstacles, enemies, things like that. I find 2 for the first half to be very easy, because that's all you have to do. And then the second half, I like 7. So remember, 27 for Bowser's Castle here. And this one, just have to deal with some of these Bowser statues right here. Not too difficult, they just hop around and breathe fire every now and then. Not too difficult to avoid for the most part. And then you're through. And then this is essentially where you would start if you had gone in the back entrance. You can kind of see that as we sped that up and Fluff was given his fact earlier on as we just burned right through it. Got some Mecha Koopas here. First sighting of them in this game. They'll be very important during our final battle with Bowser. Got some Ninjas as well. But anyway, finally throwing down with the big man himself, Bowser, and with keys on how to take him down, our resident boss expert, Gary, one last time. Gary, take us home.
Boss beaters.
Right, Bowser, the final boss here in Super Mario World. First, wait for those Mecha Koopas to fall. Jump on one of them, grab them, and toss them up. Same thing for the second one as well. You want to jump between the fire when he's going between his phases. These little fires will come down one at a time with just enough space that you can kind of jump between them, but I like to go right to left when they're moving left to right, as you can see, and just not too difficult right there. When he comes back for his second phase, he's going to drop a giant bowling ball. You want to jump over that bowling ball pretty quickly before Bowser starts flying around again. Repeat the process when he drops the Mecha Koopas, and just watch out for the fire once again. And then the final phase, he's going to be bouncing around. Just run underneath him when he's bouncing up and down. Grab a Mecha Koopa when he drops one out, kick it up, and you have beaten Super Mario World. Congratulations.
Can't smoke him just yet. Thank you very much, though, Gary. Excellent work today. Excellent work from all of my TAs. Mondo, excellent work even. How about that? Here's the bowling balls. Yeah, big thanks to Fluff for his record number of facts throughout the course of this class, blazed with all the item guides. And of course, Gary with the boss beaters. I think Fluff may have one last Fluff fact for us, which he'll share with us on the out. And let's see if we can gap the fire here. Simple enough. Then we'll just move left to right as they disappear, extinguish. Oh, good. Mecha Koopa's still hanging about. Got a little hasty there. That's alright. It's be a bad time. Lose our no death run right here. One more ought to do it. Say goodnight, Bowser. That is all she wrote. And there she is, class. Until she gets kidnapped next time, but let's enjoy it for the moment. I like it. She's got like a foot on Mario, maybe 6 inches at least. Into the shorter guys. But anyway, Mario's adventure is over. Mario, the princess, Yoshi, and his friends are going to take a vacation. I'd say it's well deserved after this one, as we get to enjoy some fireworks in the background here. Fireworks kind of make me think of one of my favorite endings of all time in pretty much any video game, is Super Mario RPG. For now, congratulations, class, and I mentioned it, let's bring in Fluff for one last Fluff fact about Super Mario World.
When you finish the complete playthrough of Super Mario World like we show in this guide, you may be confused to see it show a 96 after the star, wondering where's that last 4%. The star and 96 actually collectively signal that you've played every level and discovered every single one of the 96 exits in the game. So if you've been saving and see a star 96, congrats, you've aced this game. At this point, you can set personal goals for yourself, whether that's score-related or getting every single dragon coin. But us, we got other classes to do.
We certainly do. Thank you very much one last time, Fluff. One last time to all of my TAs, and one last time to you as well, class. Maybe the first time. I don't know if I thank you for being here, but thank you so much for being here, class. If you don't mind, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to Video Games 101 to enroll in these classes. We do one of these classes every single week. We would love to have you enrolled. Look, there's Davy Brooks. Fluff mentioned him many times throughout the course of this class. Shigeru, obviously. But click that like button as well if you don't mind. Really does help us out to make future classes for you. And leave a comment. Have you ever aced this game, as Fluff put it, gotten that 96 with the star, and gotten every single hidden exit, regular exit, every single exit in this game? And where do you think Super Mario World stacks up in the overall Super Mario series, at least in terms of the platforming specific type games? Obviously, Mario has had a lot of games associated with him, tied to his name over the years. There you go, a very happy ending here in Super Mario World. Thank you one last time, class. But that's our time. We'll see you next week in the same spot for next week's class right here on Video Games 101. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and comment on this video, and click subscribe if you haven't already, as this seriously helps me to keep making great content for you. And check the description of this video to see what song is playing right now.